Chapter 356. Just like that. Yes, an ill-fated relationship. Su Hong clicked her tongue and sighed. You don't know, but I was there that day, so I can be considered a witness. I told Xiaowu to bring her martial brothers to my place, but she refused to listen. Isn't this a coincidence? Gu Fengfeng interrupted. Come on, second sister. Xiaowu's martial arts club is filled with a bunch of 18 or 19-year-olds. If she goes to your place, those girls under you will throw themselves at her. I'm afraid that those hot-blooded youths won't be able to keep their reputation. Yi Huanyan's mouth twitched. She lowered her voice and said, Sister Hong, don't tell me you're still doing that kind of business? Screw you. Su Hong rolled her eyes at Gu Fengfeng and said righteously, Don't listen to Fengfeng's nonsense. My place is a proper place. I accompany people to drink, play, and sing, but I don't accompany them to sleep. At the very least, you're not allowed to do that kind of business in my place. Moreover, all the girls there are highly educated. The lowest degree they have is a bachelor's degree. Today's style is still up for debate. How much of what Su Hong said was true remained to be seen. The feud between Chen Yin and Chu Tianque was probably far more interesting than what Su Hong and Gu Fengfeng said. That day, when Xiaowu saw little Chu, she beat him into a pig's head. Those Marshall brothers couldn't stop her. The bar was smashed into smithereens, but little Chu didn't even dodge or let anyone interfere. TSK. At that time, I thought that this guy was very infatuated. Only later did I know how badly he had tricked Xiaowu. He cheated her of her money and caused her to get into a fight and go to jail. Is there anything more serious than that? If that's all, then it's fine. Do you remember the bracelet that Xiaowu always wore when we were in jail? She treasured it like a treasure. I remember. Only later did I find out that the guy said that the bracelet was passed down by his deceased mother and was only passed down to his daughter-in-law. Hearing this, Yi Huanyan laughed dryly. A glass bracelet that cost 5 yuan on the street? Who was he kidding? That bracelet. I thought it was just something a little girl would wear for fun. At that time, everyone could see that the bracelet was a toy, but they didn't know that it had such a hidden meaning, so no one reminded Chen Yin. After being released from prison, Chen Yin went home and asked her brother and sister-in-law to help her find the bracelet. Only then did she realize that she had been fooled. That's not the worst part. Gu Fengfeng spat out a mouthful of melon seed shells and continued. When Xiaowu first saw Xiao Chu in the bar, he had just gotten engaged and his fiancée was beside him. It was no wonder that Chen Yin was indifferent to Mr. Chu now. Even if she had feelings for him, she had to consider the past. She didn't dare to be passionate about him anymore. After talking about the past, Chen Yin came in from outside and locked Mr. Chu outside. With tears in her eyes, she shouted, Tonight we won't go home until we're drunk. The sisters reveled and opened 2 bottles of champagne. Dozens of different cocktails in the cart were gradually emptied. Ji Xiaoya, who was in the corner of the sofa, woke up and came to join the battle. Everyone present is a sad person, and they all have sad memories. Oh, I really can't drink anymore. My husband has called me more than 10 times. He said that my son won't sleep at night. I have to go home. Gu Fengfeng reached for her phone and apologized to everyone, but was stopped by Chen Yin. She said drunkenly, Men are all bad. Third sister, you have to be careful of third brother-in-law. You drank too much, you drank too much. Su Hong pulled Chen Yin and pulled her hand away from Gu Fengfeng. She waved at Gu Fengfeng and said, Go home and accompany your husband and child. Don't worry about us. Gu Fengfeng walked to the door and looked back repeatedly. She made up her mind, gritted her teeth, and returned to her seat. She opened a bottle of beer and said, I'm going all out tonight. F***ck men, F***ck family, and F***ck children. We won't go home until we're drunk. At this age, she had a successful career and a beautiful family. The unbearable past of selling things had become a thing of the past. 2 years ago, at the Lanjiang City's Outstanding Entrepreneurs Summit, there was a seat with her name on it. Her assistant could always write a script and let her go on stage to pretend to be a cultured person. Her husband said that she should rest, so she stayed at home and became a housewife. Her husband said that she should have a child, So she gave birth to the child and took care of her husband and children. Now she didn't have to worry about food and clothes, but she missed the busy days 5 years ago. The sky gradually brightened. When she woke up, the noise in the bar dissipated, leaving only silence in the bar. Yi Huanyan's phone rang all night. She woke up and went to the bathroom with her phone. After washing her face, she yawned and answered the call. "What's the matter, brother? Where are you? You didn't answer the phone all night. Are you okay?" Yi Huanyan yawned and fixed her makeup in the mirror. She said unhappily, "I'm at the bar." "What's the matter?" "What bar?" "Old Times. Gucci's men didn't find you. Are you really okay?" "Gucci?" Yi Huanyan's brain short-circuited for a moment. "Xiao Yu and I are fine. Didn't I tell you last night? The matter has been resolved. What did you ask Gucci to do?" The other end of the phone was silent for a few seconds. "It's good that you're fine. Forget it, you don't have to worry about it." After coming out of the bathroom, Su Hong stretched and took a picture with her in the corridor with a pair of panda eyes. She raised her arms and gave her a big hug. "Morning." Yi Huanyan smiled. "Morning, Sister Hong. With your face and figure, you'll definitely be the best at my bar." Yi Huanyan knew that Su Hong was joking, so she simply played along. "Okay, but you have to tell me how much your monthly salary is first." "I'll consider it. The minimum salary is 100,000 yuan a month. The guests keep their own tips. You'll only sit at the bar and not receive them. You can choose to take 3 days off from Monday to Friday, work at night on the other 2 days, and work all day on Saturday and Sunday. How about it? Do you want to consider it?" She sounded so serious. Yi Huanyan's face turned pale. "Sister Hong, you sound like you're talking about that kind of business." Su Hong tapped her forehead and laughed. "I'm just kidding. My sisters are even going to ban the business of accompanying people to sing. They're going to do a big renovation and build a tea house or theater. Nowadays, rich people like to pretend to be cultured. They're going to pay a lot of money for 2 cups of tea. I can't stand it." The two of them were joking when they heard a commotion in the lobby. "What's the matter?" Su Hong grabbed a waiter and asked. The waiter's face was pale as he stammered. "Last night, 25 of our bar branches on North Street and Tong Hui Street were smashed by the same group of people. They even detained people and cut off the phone lines. We just released the news. Our boss is still angry. He's already brought people with him and rushed over with weapons." "What?" Su Hong's eyes widened. "Who's so bold? Are they crazy? I wonder who's backing Old Time. I'm not sure. I only know that the leader's surname is Gu." Chapter 357. Is his name Gucci? Yi Huanyan hurriedly interrupted the waiter. The waiter was stunned. "I think that's his name." Su Hong looked at Yi Huanyan in surprise. "How did you know?" Yi Huanyan frowned and said with a wry smile. "Would you believe me if I told you that it was because of a phone call that made a mistake?" After she told Su Hong the whole story, Su Hong's eyes widened. "Who is your brother? He's so powerful that he dared to smash more than 20 bars just to find you? He's too reckless." Yi Huanyan sighed. "My brother isn't usually like this. Last night he didn't just look for me. He also looked for the girl who was drinking with us last night. She's my best friend. Smashing more than 20 bars with the same name as Old Times. One could imagine how angry Gu Xinian was when he received Ji Xiaoya's nonsense call last night. These men don't know how to cherish until the last moment." Su Hong sighed. These two sighs made Yi Huanyan suddenly think of something. She turned her eyes. "Sister Hong, we drank so much from Boss Chu last night, and my brother smashed so many of his branches. Shouldn't we do something to help him?" Chen Yin had just climbed up from the sofa when she heard a commotion outside. Chu Tianqua's sidekick Zhang Baoquan scrambled in from outside. He covered one of his eyes and lay beside Chen Yin's feet. "Sister Yin, something happened. Damn, what happened to your eye?" Chen Yin was no longer sleepy. She jumped up from the sofa. Zhang Baoquan was covering one of his eyes, and blood kept oozing out. The back of his hand was bloody, and it was a ghastly sight. "Don't worry about me. Boss was beaten up." Hearing this, Chen Yin's face turned pale. She said anxiously, "Where? Is someone trying to cause trouble again?" "The second branch on North Street. His arm was dislocated. Before she could finish speaking, Chen ran out like a gust of wind, leaving behind a room full of sisters and Zhang Baoquan, who was covering his eyes and using all his strength to put on an act. After Chen left, Su Hong and Yi Huanyan opened their eyes from the sofa. Both of them held back their laughter as they looked at Zhang Baoquan, who was groaning on the ground. Zhang Baoquan put down his hand that was covering his eyes and giggled. "Sister Hong, my acting skills aren't bad, right?" Su Hong glanced at him. "All right, they've already left. I'll follow them later. You don't have to join in the fun. Go home and rest for the next 2 days." Yi Huanyan pulled out a wad of cash from her wallet and stuffed it into Zhang Baoquan's hand. "You acted well. This is a service fee." Zhang Baoquan was overjoyed. "Thank you, Sister Yin Yan. You can always look for me for this kind of thing in the future." After the scene was set, Zhuang Suqiu and Gu Fengfeng left first. Ji Xiaoya had a hangover the whole night. When she woke up, she was still dizzy and talking nonsense. Last night, she drank until dawn. In the end, she didn't even know what she was called, and called herself Crayon Shinchan. Although she was awake now, Yi Huanyan was still worried about her going back alone. Su Hong waved her hand. "You go back with her. Leave the matter of Xiao Wu and Xiao Chu to me. Anyway, didn't you arrange it on your side? Let's keep in touch by phone." Yi Huanyan was relieved when Gu Qi was handling things. If this scene could make Chen and Boss Chu reconcile, it would be a good deed. Ji Xiaoya was very dizzy. Yi Huanyan was worried that something would happen to her, so she took her to the hospital. After the examination, it was confirmed that her alcohol intake was seriously over the limit. She was waiting in the emergency department for infusion. After 2 bottles of medicine were given, she woke up slowly from the bed. Her lips were dry and cracked. She looked at Yi Huanyan with a haggard face. Her voice was very dry and hoarse. "I want to drink water." "Madam, you're finally awake." Yi Huanyan hurriedly handed her the water that had been poured by the side. After she drank half a glass, her throat felt a little better. Yi Huanyan sat by the bed and peeled an apple for her. She complained that she drank too much last night. It was too ridiculous. She stared blankly at the air in a daze. It was as if she was talking to herself. She said to herself, "You might not believe me, but in the 5 years that he was gone, I've never gotten drunk. I don't dare." Yi Huanyan's hand paused in peeling the apple. She looked at her in a daze. "It's only because you're back that I dare to indulge myself like this. In the past, when you weren't around and he wasn't around, everyone around me looked at me and waited to see me make a fool of myself. It was as if the slightest mistake would be a disgrace to the position of chief editor of Fengshang. Did you know that every time I was at a drinking party, I was afraid that I'd make a fool of myself if I drank too much? So I asked my assistant to secretly help me change the red wine into grape juice and the white wine into mineral water. I don't like this position, so I won't do it. But do you know? Only when I'm in this position will I often appear in the news and let him see it. Actually, I'm also quite a capable person. I'm not completely unworthy of him. I always feel that one day he might see a report about me in the news, but I don't know which one it will be. So I can only make sure that every report about me is perfect enough. Xiao Yu. But in fact, maybe he doesn't care at all. He has never cared." This was the real reason why she had been suppressing herself for the past 5 years. She rambled on about some of the things that she didn't say last night when she was drunk. Yi Huanyan felt uncomfortable listening to her. She couldn't wait to call Gu Xinian over right now and let him hear what she had done. "I've thought it through. It's been 5 years. It's time to let go." Ji Xiaoya stared at Yi Huanyan in a daze. The corners of her mouth gradually curled up. She was a little stiff and a little forced, but she had used up all her strength. "From now on, I want to live for myself." After the 2 bottles of 4 drips were finished, the nurse came over to test her blood alcohol level. She said that there were some problems with the blood test, but she didn't know what the problem was. She still needed to stay in the hospital for 2 days for observation, so she was transferred to a normal ward. Yi Huanyan held the blood test report in her hand and frowned as she looked at the blood test results. "What do you mean by the blood test results are abnormal?" "Don't worry first. This situation has happened before. It might not be a blood lesion. At present, we can't rule out the possibility that the test results are inaccurate because of the high blood alcohol level. So we have to wait until tomorrow to do the test again. The doctor looked calm, as if he was talking about something very normal. Although the possibility is not high, family members should still be mentally prepared. Mentally prepared for what? Yi Huanyan's face stiffened. According to this indicator, if these indicators don't return to normal after tomorrow's test, it's very likely to be blood cancer. Yi Huanyan's body swayed. Her face was pale. She suppressed the shock in her heart and asked, "How likely is it?" 30%. Chapter 358. This possibility has nothing to do with the possibility of blood abnormalities. It's just the accuracy of the blood test after drinking. If the patient has been on a diet for a long time, the accuracy of the blood test will decrease, so this test result can't be used as a standard for judgment. The doctor, who looked to be in his early 30s, pushed his black-rimmed glasses with a serious expression. "What do you mean?" Yi Huanyan was still frightened by the 30% possibility. It means that she's not the only one with problems. The 10 drunk patients who were sent here last night all had problems. They're staying in the hospital for observation, so that they can redo the blood test to rule out the lesions. There's no need to worry too much. Yi Huanyan let out a long breath. "Doctor, can you finish your sentence in one go? You're scaring me to death." But you still have to be prepared. After all, birth, old age, illness and death are natural disasters. No one can be sure. The hospital and the doctor can't guarantee that you'll be fine. "Doctor, do you want me to be relieved or worried?" "Half and half." Yi Huanyan's mouth twitched, and she was speechless. It was equivalent to not saying anything. Fortunately, after the doctor's interruption, Yi Huanyan more or less knew that the blood test results did not count. The doctor said all this in confusion because he wanted her to wait for Ji Xiaoya's alcohol level to drop and cooperate with the hospital to redo the blood test. This was to prevent the hospital from taking responsibility in the future if the blood test was not accurate. "Stay in the hospital obediently. I still have to keep an eye on the film studio. I'll bring Naneo to see you in the afternoon." Ji Xiaoya nodded dispiritedly, looking haggard. "If I knew that you were so restrained with your diet, who would want to take you to a nightclub to drink? Not only did you hurt your stomach, I even thought that I would be responsible for a human life." "What human life? Are you cursing me to death?" "Nothing. Lie down. I'm leaving." Yi Huanyan could not be bothered to tell her more about groundless things, lest she let her imagination run wild again. After leaving the hospital, it was still early. The teacher in the preschool called to inform the park that the afternoon was off, and that parents should pick up their children. During this period of time, Ji Xiaoya's assistant had been in charge of Naneo's affairs. However, Ji Xiaoya was lying in the hospital at the moment, and her assistant was acting on her behalf. She was probably very busy in the company. Lanjiang City Bilingual Kindergarten. Yi Huanyan was wearing a khaki windbreaker and white sneakers. She was dressed very casually, and her slender and fair legs looked very well proportioned. Naneo broke free from the teacher's hands and plunged into her arms. "Mommy, why are you free to pick me up today? Where's Godmother?" Yi Huanyan pinched his little face and said with a smile, "Your godmother is in the hospital. She has no time to take care of you today, so you can only follow me." "Hospitalized? I'm going to see Godmother." "Hey, whose son are you?" Yi Huanyan complained as she held his hand and walked out. "How could there be such a son?" "Your godmother will be discharged from the hospital in the afternoon. I'll bring you to pick her up then. Now, I'll have to trouble you to come with me. I'll have to trouble you to stay with me on set. I have something to do." "What about lunch?" Naneo blinked and looked at her. "There are packed lunches on set. I want to go see Godmother. The food in the hospital is not as good as the packed lunches on set. Don't even think about it." After saying this, Yi Huanyan carried him to the back seat and said, "Buckle the safety seat belt yourself." Just as she was about to close the door, a familiar voice came from behind. "Sister Yin Yan." Yi Huanyan turned around and saw Zheng Ro holding her daughter Jingjing's hand and walking quickly towards her. I knew it was Naaneo from the back. I didn't expect you to have time to pick up the child. Isn't the crew very busy? It's quite busy. We're going to the set after picking up Naaneo. Do you want to come with us? Me? Zheng Ro was a little hesitant. Won't I disturb you? Yi Huanyan raised her wrist and looked at the time. No, it's time for lunch. We'll rest for 2 hours. You can go and see Su Nianhua. Qianqian hasn't seen Daddy for a few days, right? Jingjing nodded her head obediently with an aggrieved look on her face. Mommy said that Daddy always comes home too late at night, and I'm already asleep. Then, he leaves too early in the morning and I'm still asleep. Then come with me to see Daddy, okay? Really? Jingjing's eyes lit up. Yi Huanyan looked up at Zheng Ro and persuaded. Xiaoro, let's go. Our child wants to see Daddy. We can't be unsatisfied. This month, we're still filming in the university town. Next month, we'll be moving to Hujiang. Finally, we'll have to go to France to shoot. Wouldn't it be even harder for you to see him? Zheng Ro nodded. She seemed to have thought of something. She suddenly looked up and said, Then please take Jingjing there first. I'll go back home to get something. Okay. Yi Huanyan agreed without thinking. Naaneo was naturally happy to see Jingjing. He took the initiative to fasten the seat for her, and even played the game in his hand with her. Usually, even Gu Xinian could not touch his precious game. Lanjiang University Town. During the non-weekend, university students came and went. They were all full of youthful energy. Yi Huanyan parked the car and walked towards the university campus with one child in each hand. The car was parked in front of a 5-story building with the longest history in the southeast corner of Lanjiang University of Business and Economics. It was originally a teaching building, but after a long time, the facilities could not keep up. It was only used as a self-study room for students. Now the activities inside were mostly school clubs. It was in a semi-abandoned state. When Yi Huanyan arrived with the 2 children, it was not yet lunchtime. The scene was in the middle of filming. The scene was about the reunion of the female lead with the male lead on the university campus, after she returned to China. Qian suddenly broke free from Yi Huanyan's hand and ran into the shooting range. She hugged Su Nianhua's leg and shouted, Daddy! Everyone was speechless beside them. The Team B director's face froze. He raised his hand and was about to shout cut, when he was stopped by the assistant director. The assistant director glanced at him and gestured for him to continue filming. Everyone looked towards the camera and saw a woman in a khaki trench coat barge into the scene. She only showed her back to the camera as she lowered her head and pulled the little girl away from Su Nianhua's leg. She said apologetically, Sir, I'm sorry. My daughter mistook you for someone else. Su Nianhua's stiff expression softened a little. He said calmly, It's fine. Cut. The assistant director raised his hand, his silver hair fluttering in the wind. He praised, Screenwriter Gu did a good job in this scene. Nian, there's a problem with your it's fine. Let's do it again. Screenwriter Gu can leave now. Take the children, and do a close-up shot of Nian looking at Nai's back. Yi Huanyan nodded hurriedly. She pulled Jingjing and left the set. When she was leaving, she even turned back and tilted her head at Su Nianhua, waving her hand to signal him to continue. Su Nianhua nodded and gave Qian a secret signal that was unique to both father and daughter. Qian laughed out loud and obediently followed Yi Huanyan to the side. Chapter 359. The main building that the school agreed to lend was very shabby, which led to the lounge also being very shabby. After the scenes in the morning were over, Yi Huanyan waved to everyone to take a break at noon. Su Nianhua took Qian into the lounge of the main building, leaving Yi Huanyan to communicate with the 3 directors on the set. Director Wang, I'm sorry to trouble you. Something came up, so I'm late today. Director Wang waved his hand indifferently. Under his silver hair was a kind face. He stared at the camera, as if he was looking at his own child. If you have something to do, go ahead. As long as you're there when I look for you, it's fine. The 2 directors next to him were the camera directors of Group A and Group B. When they heard what he said, they laughed. Teacher Wang hasn't directed for several years after retirement. It's not fun to just teach theoretical knowledge in the drama academy. Now his passion for directing has been aroused. He can't wait for you to stop being a hindrance in front of him. That's right. When he looks for you, he'll probably tell you that the shooting period is not enough, and that the funding needs to be increased. You'll be in trouble, President Gu. While they were laughing, Zheng Ro came from a distance with 2 thermal containers. She looked around the set, as if she was looking for Su Nianhua and her daughter. A few insensible staff members had never seen Zheng Ro before. They thought that she was a visiting fan, and impatiently went forward to chase her away. Yi Huanyan hurriedly withdrew from the conversation between the 3 directors, and rushed to the rescue. Zheng Ro's eyes were a little gloomy, as if she had been wronged. I'm sorry, they don't know you. It'll be fine if you come a few more times. Yi Huanyan helped her carry the things in her hands. After weighing them twice, she felt that her hands were sore. She was surprised and said, "What's so heavy? Can your husband finish them all? You're really raising him like a pig." The look in Zheng Ro's eyes suddenly changed and she smiled gently. "It's not just for him. You and Naaneo are here too. I made more for everyone to eat. Then he's going to raise us like pigs too." In the lounge, Naaneo and Jingjing were sitting side by side as they played games. Su Nianhua seemed to be somewhat dissatisfied that his daughter had been taken by a brat at such an early age. He tried several times to pull Qian Qian onto his lap, but he failed every time. When Zheng Ro and Yi Huanyan came in, Jingjing was shaking off Su Nianhua's hand and said impatiently, "Dad, don't you have anything to do? I want to play this game with Naaneo, so don't bother me." "Qian Qian, you just said that you miss Daddy a lot. But I've seen my father now. You don't miss me when you see me? Daddy is going to be angry." "Dad, you're so boring. If you continue like this, I won't come to see you anymore." Beside Yi Huanyan, Zheng Ro burst out laughing. Su Nianhua raised his head and looked at them in surprise. When he thought of his childish behavior, he suddenly looked embarrassed. "When did you guys come?" Yi Huanyan continued. "Probably when you told Qianqian that my son would definitely be a playboy in the future, and told her not to get too close to him." Su Nianhua's face turned pale, and he said embarrassedly, "I was just kidding." Zheng Ro was busy unwrapping the various layers of the thermal lunchbox on the simple table. When she heard this, she interrupted. "How can you educate your daughter like this? They're both children, so they're innocent. Why would you say such nonsense to her? No wonder Qianqian dislikes you." Su Nianhua raised his eyebrows. "You disdain me too?" Zheng Ro's hand that was holding the thermal lunchbox suddenly paused, and a layer of red appeared on her face. She turned sideways to Yi Huanyan, and with her back facing Su Nianhua, she said, "I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Hurry up and bring the children to eat. Don't delay your work." Yi Huanyan blinked, and had a sly look on her face. "Why don't I take the 2 children away for a while? After all, the atmosphere seems a little inappropriate for children." "Sister Yan Yan, stop fooling around." Zheng Ro's face was bright red. She pulled her forcefully, and sat her down on the chair. Then, she stuffed a pair of chopsticks into her hands. "Try the food I made. See if it's delicious." "Okay, I'll try it." After eating other people's food, Yi Huanyan was too embarrassed to tease them anymore. Su Nianhua was as beautiful as a flower now, and he was living a very comfortable life. Thinking about her own situation, she felt that she was just trying to find joy in others' misery. Just as she was enjoying the food, the phone in her pocket rang. She could only smile apologetically, put down the chopsticks, and went out to answer the phone. The phone call was from Su Hong. She was reporting on the follow-up in the morning. "Yan Yan, your idea is really good." When Xiao Wu rushed to the bar branch, Xiao Chu had already had one arm broken. This is the first time I've seen Xiao Wu cry so miserably. Fortunately, your subordinates are good at fighting. Otherwise, according to Xiao Wu's temper and skills, I'm afraid that she wouldn't have waited for your people to come out and explain. She would have broken all their arms and legs. What happened in the end? Xiao Wu forgave Boss Chu. Of course she forgave him. Xiao Chu was willing to have one arm broken. And according to what you said, he confessed everything in the end. Xiao Wu was angry for a while and slapped him. This time, Xiao Chu refused to let Xiao Wu go. He proposed on the spot. "It's a diamond ring as big as a pigeon's egg. It's a pity that you weren't there. It's the same. As long as Xiaowu recovers, it's fine. It looks like the wedding is just around the corner. When Yi Huanyan went out to answer the phone, the atmosphere in the lounge suddenly became a little ambiguous. The two children were playing games on the sofa in the corner, and they didn't even raise their heads. At the dining table, Su Nianhua was eating the prawns that Zheng Ro had peeled for her. "Why did you think of looking for me today?" he asked. Zheng Ro lowered her head and focused on peeling the prawns. "I met Sister Yin Yin at the entrance of the bilingual kindergarten. It was on the way, so I came to see you. Jingjing misses you." "On the way? Why did you specially go home to cook a meal and bring it here?" Zheng Ro was slightly stunned. She raised her head and met Su Nianhua's gentle eyes. She was stunned, but then she saw his delicate face suddenly magnified. Her lips felt warm. She widened her eyes and subconsciously wanted to push him away, but she remembered that both her hands were greasy. She really didn't know where to put her hands, so she could only step back. A force came from behind her waist, blocking her retreat. Then, her teeth were pried open, and his warmth and smell slipped into her mouth. There was a faint smell of prawns and vegetables. It was very fragrant, and it wrapped around every nerve in her body. Zheng Ro was timid and shy. Su Nianhua had always known this. He also knew that in the past 5 years, Zheng Ro's love for him was always a little blind. Although it was passionate, it always made him feel distant. After returning from Iceland, he slowly tried to change this alienation. They were husband and wife, and they already had a daughter. They were like family, and there was no need to worry. In the corner of the room, Jingjing suddenly yawned. Just as she was about to raise her head, Naaneo grabbed her sleeve. "You play this game with me. Hold this button and don't move." Chapter 360. When Yi Huanyan came back from the phone call, the atmosphere in the room was obviously not right. Zheng Ro's face was flushed, and even her breathing was a little rapid. Yi Huanyan's gaze swept across her red and swollen lips. When she looked at Su Nianhua, the corners of her eyes quietly revealed a hint of a teasing smile. "After the scenes in the university town are finished, we have a day off before the transfer. The prop team has to set up the new set, and the artists can take a day off." It seemed that the filming schedule was indeed too tight. Sometimes, it was necessary to give the actors a day off. Zheng Ro lowered her head even more, as if she wanted to bury herself under the table. Su Nianhua looked as if nothing had happened. He nodded at Yi Huanyan and said lightly, "Thank you, director." After the meal, Su Nianhua and Guan Nai started filming. Zheng Ro followed beside Yi Huanyan, looking like she wanted to say something but stopped. "What's wrong? You had this expression when you saw me at the entrance of the kindergarten today." Yi Huanyan's eyes reflected the scene of Su Nianhua and Guan Nai kissing not far away. She lowered her voice and teased, "You're not going to beat around the bush and ask me if your man has anything to do with Guan Nai, are you?" Zheng Ro was slightly stunned and quickly shook her hand. "No, I want to ask something else. Are you free?" At this moment, Director Wang suddenly had an idea. He added 2 scenes for Naaneo at the last minute, interspersing this scene with Su Nianhua and Guan Nai's reunion. He created some small misunderstandings, and the effect was not bad. In this way, in the entire crew, it seemed that Yi Huanyan was the only one who didn't help. Instead, she let the stage supervisor do more work to serve her. One moment he gave her coffee, the next moment he gave her water, and the next moment, he brought her an air conditioner to blow on her. She found herself annoying. When Zheng Ro asked this, she nodded hesitantly. "I'm very free. Didn't you notice that in the entire crew, we're the 2 most free? Even my son is busier than me." They couldn't find a cafe in school, so they stopped a student by the roadside and asked for a milk tea bar in the back street. The 2 of them ordered 2 cups of milk tea and sat down. The place was very small, and it was class time, so there weren't many people. There was only a table of people sitting in the corner, playing with eggs. There were 2 beautiful young girls, a tall and handsome young man, and a slightly tanned young man. They looked very ordinary, but it was obvious that the 2 girls were interested in the tall and handsome young man. "Xiao Wang." The boy played a card. "Don't. From Yi Huanyan's angle, she saw the girl who shouted, "Don't silently hide a king card" behind the card with a gentle expression. "You don't want it? Haha, then we win." The boy threw down the last card in his hand, a 3. It was really a terrible card. "It's good to be young." Zheng Rou smiled and said this quietly, as if there was a hidden meaning in her words. Thinking about how she asked her out, Yi Huanyan vaguely guessed something, so she looked away. "There's nothing good about it. It's just that you were naive and didn't have so many troubles back then. If you really went back, how many people would be willing to do it all over again?" "You wouldn't want to?" Zheng Rou asked. "Go back to high school. Go back to being the most naive and pure. And have the person you love the most by your side. The person you loved back then might not be the person you love the most now." Yi Huanyan looked at Zheng Rou seriously, her expression indifferent. "I can answer whatever you want to ask me. You don't have to beat around the bush." Zheng Rou's eyes slightly froze when she heard this. After a while, she pursed her lips, as if she had gathered a lot of courage, and asked, "Sister Yan Yan, when we first met, I wanted to say that your name is very similar to that of an old friend." Her surname is Yi. Yi Huanyan's straightforwardness made Zheng Rou feel as if she couldn't breathe. She was a little disappointed, but not as disappointed as she had expected. She was a little surprised, but not as surprised as she had initially suspected. She was a little happy, but it was only for a moment. It was as if there were thousands of feelings in her heart at the same time, and she couldn't say them out loud. She didn't expect her to be so calm. "You're her?" "I am." "Then I actually wanted to tell you when we were at the glacier, but there was a special situation at that time, so I couldn't say it, so it was delayed. If you still have a grudge against Su Nianhua, because of me, I'm very sorry. My past with him is really nothing. At most, it's just a coincidence during the rebellious phase." "Rebellious phase?" Zheng Rou was stunned. "He likes music and underground rock, but he's always been in the top 3 of the school's rankings. His family is very strict, and the people around him are all high and mighty, looking down on underground rock. My background is special, and I'm not liked in school. I don't have many friends, but I had the opportunity to be with him. In fact, during that short year, we were more like friends than dating. But he dropped out of school overseas for you, and he came back to see you for a whole 10 years. Did he tell you that?" Yi Huanyan asked. Zheng Rou hesitated for a few seconds, then shook her head. Yi Huanyan smiled. She took a sip of the sweet milk tea and frowned. "You believe the media's groundless accusations? Don't forget that when you were still Xiao Rou, you also fabricated a lot of childhood sweethearts to promote his concert." Zheng Rou only felt a little confused. The Gu Huanyan in front of her, who was loyal to her friends, and Yi Huanyan, who had helped her at the concert, formed a strange circuit in her heart, making her lose her rationality. "You didn't come back for him?" "No." Su Nianhua didn't see Zheng Rou during the filming, so he asked the stage supervisor. Only then did he know that Zheng Rou had just left with Jingjing, saying that she was afraid of affecting his acting. When the assistant director heard this, he came over and praised, "You are very lucky to have such a good wife." Su Nianhua smiled gently. "Yes, it is my good fortune to have met her." Yi Huanyan watched Zheng Rou get into the taxi. When the taxi was far away, she sighed and looked down at the 2 children in her hands. Zheng Rou was still young after all, and she still needed time to think things through. "Auntie, where is Mommy?" Yi Huanyan bent down and tidied Jingjing's hair. She said gently, "Mommy is home. Jingjing and Naneo come to Auntie's house to play these 2 days, okay? Uncle Gu, whom you met last time, sends you to school every day. Auntie will pick you up at night and bring you to see Daddy, okay?" Jingjing was a little hesitant. She muttered softly, "I want to go home." Naaneo tugged at her hand. "Jingjing, there are 2 more levels to the game. You haven't finished the game with me yet. You promised. My uncle says that if you promise someone something, you must keep it." Jingjing nodded seriously. "Yes, my father says so too." Chapter 361. Jingjing looked up at Yi Huanyan. "Auntie, after I finish playing games with Naaneo, Mommy will come and pick me up, right?" "Yes, Jingjing is such a good girl. Yi Huanyan patted her little head and breathed a sigh of relief. Why did she feel that her son was better than her when it came to coaxing children? After fastening the seatbelts for the two children, Yi Huanyan drove to the hospital to pick up Ji Xiaoya. A certain someone was bored to death at the hospital. In just half a day, she had sent hundreds of text messages to her, urging her to go to the hospital to find her. Her phone was bombarded with voice messages. Okay, I'm on the way to the hospital. Stop texting, my phone is going to explode. After Yi Huanyan sent a voice message, she threw the phone to her son in the back seat and instructed, if your godmother sends another voice message, broadcast our current situation and our location to her. Okay. As soon as he finished speaking, the sound of a text message notification came from the back seat. The sound was particularly clear. Your godmother really doesn't know when to stop. It's not godmother. Naaneo's voice came from the back seat. It's uncle. With that said, she played Gu Xinyan's voice message on the loudspeaker. I'm at the hospital. You don't have to come. Yi Huanyan slammed on the brakes. She turned around and took the phone. After confirming the content of the voice message, she sent 3 question marks to Gu Xinyan, but received no response. What's going on? She was confused. Wasn't Gu Xinyan still in Thailand last night? Mommy, are we still going to the hospital? Her son's soft voice came from the back seat. Let's go. There's a show to watch, so why not? You've never seen your uncle in distress, right? Mommy will show you this time. Yi Huanyan's eyes were brimming with light. She stepped on the accelerator, and the whole car rushed into the traffic, speeding in a direction. In the back seat, Jingjing looked at Naaneo in confusion and whispered, Naaneo, why does your mother look so happy? Has the auntie in the hospital recovered? Naaneo glanced at her. Adult matters are too complicated. You don't need to understand. Just play the game. In the first hospital of Lanjiang City, the nurse had just finished a blood test for Ji Xiaoya. Hold the cotton swab and don't move. You can pack up and leave in 5 minutes. The blood test results will be out tomorrow, or the day after. Come back to get the results then. After the reminder, the ward returned to silence. Ji Xiaoya looked at the dozens of voicemails on her phone and sighed silently. Damn Yin Yen, what kind of best friend was she? She still hadn't come. After packing up, she walked out of the ward and walked towards the elevator in her 10 centimeters high heels. She was still wearing the revealing outfit from the nightclub last night. Standing in the hospital now, she was particularly eye-catching. She lowered her head and waited for the elevator with an awkward expression. Ding! The elevator door opened. She walked in frantically and didn't pay attention, so she bumped into a broad chest. Her body swayed and a large hand held her firmly by the shoulder. Sorry, I. When she looked up and saw that face, she swallowed the second half of her sentence. Are you okay, Xiaoyu? Gu Xinyan asked condescendingly. His voice was still as deep and seductive as it was 5 years ago. Perhaps it was because he had stayed up late, but there was still a hint of hoarseness and difficulty in his voice, which sounded even more seductive. Ji Xiaoya only felt her heart fluster. Her face turned pale, and she struggled to break free from his embrace. She hid in the corner of the elevator and lowered her head to avoid his gaze. You've got the wrong person. The elevator went down and there were many people. Ji Xiaoya hid in the corner, and there were many people between her and Gu Xinyan. In the car full of people, there were all kinds of smells, but they couldn't cover up the unique scent of each other. Ding! The elevator door opened. Ji Xiaoya hid in the crowd and tried to hide. She acted like an invisible person and hurried towards the hospital entrance. Gu Xinyan didn't call out to her and just followed her. Taking advantage of his long legs, he followed her unhurriedly, which made her seem even more flustered. She chased him all the way to the entrance of the hospital, but he was still following behind her. It wasn't easy to get a taxi at the entrance of the hospital, so she walked towards the bus stop in her 10 centimeters high heels. However, he pulled her back. Xiaoyu. Ji Xiaoya gritted her teeth and turned around. She couldn't stand his sudden appearance anymore. What exactly do you want? I finally decided to forget about you. I finally spent 5 years deciding to live for myself and not do useless things for you. Why did you appear at this time? What exactly do you want? Gu Xinyan's eyes reflected her hysterical look as she criticized him. He didn't even frown and said in a deep voice, "Where are you going? I'll send you." "No need." Ji Xiaoya bit her lip, almost biting it open. The sound of a car horn came from behind. It was a white car. A familiar face behind the windshield was looking at them with a half-smile. Ji Xiaoya decisively shook off Gu Xinyan's hand. Without looking back, she opened the front passenger door and got into the car. After fastening her seatbelt, she urged, "Yin Yin, drive. Hurry up." "Wait a minute. I'll come after saying a few words to my brother." Someone in the driver's seat smiled mockingly at her distressed brother. Then, she decisively got out of the car and secretly stuffed the car keys into Gu Xinyan's hands. She lowered her voice and said, "The little girl in the car is Su Nianhua's daughter. Help me take care of her, and the car is yours." Gu Xinyan got into the car, inserted the keys expressionlessly, locked the door, and started the car in one smooth motion. Ji Xiaoya pulled the car door and shouted angrily, "Gu Xinyan, are you crazy? You're kidnapping me. Let me out." "Godma, what's wrong with you?" A timid voice came from the back seat. Ji Xiaoya was slightly stunned. Her tone softened a bit. "Naaneo, you're here too. I have something to do. I can't go with you. I have to get out of the car." "Godma, you promised me that you would take me to the Nightlight amusement park today." Gu Xinyan, who was driving, coughed dryly and reminded her, "You have to keep your promise to the child." Ji Xiaoya was angry and said unhappily, "Then can I not keep my promise to the adult? Are you qualified to say that?" Gu Xinyan's face turned green. He had nothing to say. "Naaneo, let's go another day, okay? It's not like you haven't been to the Nightlight amusement park before." Ji Xiaoya turned around and persuaded her godson, who was sitting diagonally behind her. "I want to go to the Nightlight amusement park too. Mom always says that it's not safe to go to the amusement park at night. Dad is not free either, so I haven't been there." Jingjing looked at Ji Xiaoya expectantly. "Auntie Xiaoyu, I haven't been there before." Ji Xiaoya's face stiffened. Naaneo was silent for 2 seconds and said seriously, "Godma, I haven't been there with Jingjing." Gu Xinyan said, "I haven't been there with you either." Ji Xiaoya gritted her teeth. "What does it have to do with you? Are you done yet?" Chapter 362. The sky gradually darkened. Looking at the busy streets of Lanjiang City, Yi Huanyan only felt that it was a little inappropriate to give up the car just now. She hadn't taken a taxi for a long time. She had forgotten how difficult it was to take a taxi during rush hour, especially in front of the hospital. Even if she could take a taxi, judging from the current situation, she was afraid that it wouldn't be as fast as her 2 legs. Just after crossing the zebra crossing, her phone rang. Looking at the familiar name on the caller ID, her eyes froze. She had eaten too much dog food these 2 days. God seemed to be unable to bear it, so he gave her some good luck. Ling Han's deep voice on the other end of the phone made her heart itch. "Where are you?" She was about to answer when she suddenly thought of what happened in the parking lot that day. Although he took the initiative to call her and gave her a way out, she still hadn't apologized. This matter couldn't be brushed aside casually. After all, the more she didn't care, the more suspicious he would be. So when the words came to her mouth, they turned into 2 indifferent words. "What's the matter? I misunderstood you last time. If you're free, let's have dinner together." Hearing this, Yi Huanyan's lips curled up, and a trace of slyness flashed through her eyes. "Dinner is not necessary. I hope you can understand that we're just bed partners. It's enough to do what bed partners should do. I still have something to do. Goodbye, President Ling." After saying this, she directly hung up the phone. Ling Han had made her angry for several days. It wasn't easy to seize the opportunity, so she had to get back at him. If he really wanted to apologize, he would call again. Yi Huanyan counted the seconds and walked towards the subway entrance. 1, 2, 3. 10 seconds later, the phone rang again. "Hello." She suppressed the pleasure of success and coughed dryly to hide her emotions. She pretended to be indifferent and said, "Why are you calling again? Haven't I made myself clear enough? Didn't you say to do what bed partners should do?" The voice on the other end of the phone was cold and clean, but with a hint of abstinence. She was slightly stunned. "Come over, I've booked a room." Without waiting for her to speak, the phone was hung up even faster than she had been just now. A text message immediately popped up on the phone, with the hotel address and room number written on it. Bastard, she cursed in her heart. Men were indeed animals who thought with the lower half of their bodies. At this time, he was still thinking about that kind of thing. Couldn't he be more sincere and apologize? Would it kill you to apologize properly? Yi Huanyan cursed in her heart as she scrutinized the address. Shilin Hotel? It seemed to be on the other side of the zebra crossing. At the red light, in a black car, Ling Han threw his phone on the passenger seat and looked away from the zebra crossing with a complicated expression. In the presidential suite of Shilin Hotel, Yi Huanyan opened the door after swiping the room card given to her by the front desk. All she saw was a pitch-black room. Slightly stunned, Yi Huanyan carefully groped around the room. Just as she touched the switch, a cold wind swept past her and locked her fingers, pushing her against the wall from behind. She panicked for a few seconds until she sensed a familiar body temperature and smell. Only then did she calm down. "Let me go," she said coldly. She heard his emotionless voice. "Didn't President Gu say that you were going to be my bed partner? Fulfilling the obligation of being my bed partner and taking what we each need. Isn't that what you want?" "That's only when I need it. President Ling, I have every reason to sue you for rape for this kind of coercion." "Rape?" Ling Han sneered and put his other hand around her neck from behind. He didn't use any strength, but she felt a cold, murderous intent. "Gu Huanyan, is your only purpose for me to be your bed partner?" "Of course not." Yi Huanyan took a deep breath. The cooperation between Haiyan Media and Pleasure is also very important. She felt a stronger force around her neck. It didn't hurt and only reduced her intake of air, but she felt a suffocating pleasure running through her body. "As you said, you got close to me for the cooperation with Pleasure, and got close to Su Nianhua for the movie Remaining Life. Then what about getting close to Ji Xiaoya?" She got close to everyone who was related to Yi Huanyan. If it was a coincidence, it was too much of a coincidence. "You got close to Ji Xiaoya for the cooperation with Fengshang?" President Ling is really smart. As soon as she finished speaking, she felt a pain in her neck. She couldn't help but let out a scream. But it was stuck in her neck, and she couldn't make a follow-up scream. Ling Han put his hand around her neck and leaned over to her ear from behind. His voice was very cold. "I've checked everything you said. It's completely consistent. Burns' ex-husband's affair, family's power to cover it up, plastic surgery. You've been living a legendary life for more than 30 years. I can't find any loopholes, and all my previous doubts have been overturned." The force around her neck gradually weakened. Yi Huanyan coughed twice and panted. "What else do you have doubts about? Ask me all at once, and I'll explain it to you. Strangling me to death won't do you any good. We have no grudges." "No grudges?" Ling Han's face darkened. "Why do I feel like you hate me?" Yi Huanyan's heart skipped a beat. For a moment she couldn't find her voice. Ling Han didn't seem to be in the mood to be entangled with this question. The hand around her neck pinched her chin and suddenly changed the topic. "Since this face of yours isn't your original face at all, then isn't the you I see now a fake?" Yi Huanyan's eyes dimmed a little. "Do you mind?" The dark room was silent. After a while, his voice came from the darkness. It was a little charming. Sometimes, fake things are more deadly than real things. As soon as he finished speaking, he pinched her chin and turned her face to him. Warmth came from his lips. His hand slid from her shoulder to her waist, under the hem of her shirt, and stroked her skin. The khaki trench coat fell to her feet, and the hem of her skirt was lifted high. There was no visual impact in the dark, but it deepened the touch of passion. He touched her body crazily, and when he kissed her deeply, it was as if he had fallen into a repeated dream from many years ago. She felt a hard touch on her waist, and the hem of her skirt swayed. After the cold wind passed through her crotch, it ushered in a protracted battle. His hands clasped her 10 fingers, firmly fastening her to the wall. Looking at her smooth back under the moonlight, it was as if he could see the appearance of another person. Ah. In the silent room, only the violent breathing and moaning behind the door could be heard. She was tired of standing, and tried to turn around to change her position, but he forced her to the wall. He raised one of her legs high and crazily attacked her, not giving her the slightest chance to mediate. In the midst of passion, Yi Huanyan vaguely heard him panting in her ear, shouting, "Yin Yan." After that, she leaned on his chest and asked with a complicated expression, "Do you think I'm her?" "Who?" "Your ex-wife." His eyes suddenly darkened, and he gave her a warning look. "She's not my ex-wife. I didn't divorce her." Chapter 363. The light in the room was dim. When she heard the words "I didn't divorce her," Yi Huanyan's eyes trembled. At that moment, she felt her heart clench. All these years, it might be unfair to say that they had tortured each other. What she had suffered was surgery after surgery. After the anesthesia, she didn't feel any pain. The car accident wasn't caused by him, so her pain had nothing to do with him. However, the torture he had suffered was all related to her. Leaving without saying goodbye 5 years ago might have been an accident, but crossing the ocean and changing her appearance, and even allowing others to give him the news of her death, there was no lack of selfishness and revenge on her part. At first, she was just not sure if her life was important to him. Later, as time passed, she lost the courage to see him. Even if his love for her was as deep as the sea, after a long time, her reflection in the mirror had changed. Could she really spend the rest of her life with him? Men in the world were fickle, except for the 1 in 1,000 chance. However, whether this 1 in 1,000 chance fell on her, it really depended on luck. She had always felt that she wasn't a lucky person. She had to put in more effort than others in everything she did, and it had been like this since she was young. Therefore, she didn't believe it, and didn't dare to believe it. However, when Ling Han stubbornly repeated the words "we didn't divorce," her determination to start over with a new identity seemed to be shaken. She turned her head and buried half of her face under the blanket to hide her expression. Ling Han thought that she minded him mentioning his ex-wife, so he frowned and said in a low voice, "I'm sorry. No one can replace her to me. Just don't mention her in the future. But you're a smart person. You probably won't argue with someone who doesn't exist anymore." Yi Huanyan asked in a muffled voice, "Since you still have her in your heart, why are you still?" Her tone was a little hesitant. Ling Han rarely saw her so hesitant, so he simply finished the sentence. "Why can I still sleep with you?" He lowered his head and looked at her. His eyes were a little confused, and his voice was dry. "I can't explain it. You might not believe it, but before I met you, I hadn't touched any woman in the past 5 years. There's a feeling about you that makes me feel." He paused hesitantly, as if he didn't know if he should continue. Yi Huanyan buried her head in the blanket, only revealing a pair of black and shiny eyes. Separated by a layer of blanket, her voice was very dull. "Do you think I look like her?" Ling Han looked at the pair of eyes, and probed for a while before revealing a self-deprecating smile. "You don't look like her at all, be it in bed or out of bed." After that day, Ling Han didn't ask her about her past anymore. Even though Yi Huanyan knew better than anyone that he still had his suspicions, she didn't know what made him stop asking. She even considered admitting it if he kept asking. But he didn't. Yi Huanyan was busy with the filming of the movie. Even with the help of the 3 seniors, the filming methods and concepts of the older generation were somewhat different from hers. Therefore, she did not dare to be absent from the subsequent filming. She had to be present to supervise the filming until she was satisfied with the result. Besides, Ling Han was also very busy. He was busy with scandals with actresses in the company. A second before Ji Xiaoya was full of righteous indignation and scolding Ling Han on the other end of the video call. She took time out of her busy schedule to see the recent news. Sheng Imran and Pleasure's president rarely appear together in the same frame, suspected of rekindling old feelings. The big headline took up 1/3 of the interface of the entertainment section. The degree of attracting people's attention was superb. "Ling Han, this scumbag. You've been thinking about him for 5 years, and you came back to look for him. He still dares to cheat on you. He's so smelly and shameless. There's no good man. Didn't he not respond? They're just eating together in the same frame. And there's still someone between them. Yi Huanyan explained casually. It was not that she excused Xing Imran for no reason, but she felt that Ling Han didn't need to go back to the old grass. Ji Xiaoya's anger came entirely from Gu Xingyan's pursuit of her during this time. So she was very grumpy recently. What, no response? Didn't you see Xing Imran's answer to the reporter? Yi Huanyan's heart thumped, and she couldn't help thinking of the reporter's interview. Miss Sheng, you rarely appear together with Pleasure's President Ling. Is this a trend of getting back together? We've always been very good friends. Media friends, please give us some time and space, okay? Is there a possibility of getting back together? If you get back together, you should be going to get married this time, right? Anything is possible. I can't say for sure. Let's see what he does. It's been 5 years, but she hasn't given up. In the past 5 years, Xing Imran's career has been developing very well. But in the eyes of the public, her relationship with Ling Han was unsettled, which made people feel deeply regretful. The news made a fuss for 4 or 5 days, and it was on the hot search. All the media and newspapers were very insightful to put a lot of high-resolution photos of suspected reunification on the internet. Overnight, the most popular national CP love collection was widely circulated on the internet, and the thing between Xing Imran and Ling Han was brought up again. Netizens didn't get to the bottom of it. They were just curious and liked to watch the fun. At this point, Yi Huanyan had already known it well and didn't take it to heart. After all, Xing Imran was acting alone from the beginning to the end, and the other party had been in a state of disappearance. You really don't mind at all? At the other end of the video, Ji Xiaoya looked at her suspiciously. It's a groundless thing. It's not interesting. I still have something to do, so I won't talk to you for now. After saying this, Yi Huanyan waved at the other end of the video. Ji Xiaoya rolled her eyes unceremoniously. You keep pretending. I don't know you, so I don't mind. I can smell a sour smell through the screen. As Ji Xiaoya said, after that day, Yi Huanyan directly ignored Ling Han's various invitations. Although these messages didn't come often, and because of the relationship of cooperation, he still had to answer the phone, but only to talk about work. One night a week later, Yi Huanyan was directing a night scene on the set. Before she was ready to start shooting, she received a call from Ling Han. His tone was very natural, as if he didn't feel the anger in Yi Huanyan's heart. Are you free? I'll wait for you at the hotel. I have a night scene at night. I'm afraid I don't have time. This is the 3rd time you've rejected me this week. Ling Han's tone was very calm. I think it's necessary to ask how I offended you. I'm very busy. I don't mean anything else. Really? Ling Han's tone was a bit mocking. What do you think? That I would use a night scene to lie to you? Why don't you check it out? Yi Huanyan's tone was a bit impatient. I'm really going to start shooting. If you don't have anything serious to say, I'm hanging up. Are all the restaurants in the university town the same? Chapter 364. Shaxian Snacks, Lanzhou Ramen and Braised Chicken and Rice. His voice sounded hesitant. Yi Huanyan frowned. What are you talking about? Where do you usually eat most of the time? Lanzhou Ramen. His tone was so natural that Yi Huanyan, who was confused, couldn't help but answer him. After she finished speaking, she pursed her lips, and a trace of anger flashed in her eyes. Her voice also rose a few octaves. Ling Han, did you drink too much? Do you know what you're saying? I'm at the entrance of Lanzhou Ramen. When Yi Huanyan heard this, she almost bit her tongue. 5 minutes later, she stood at the entrance of Lanzhou Ramen, wearing a khaki-colored director's vest. She stared in astonishment at Ling Han, who was sitting by the window and eating his noodles slowly. The corners of her mouth couldn't help but twitch. Although the snack bars in the university town were much cleaner than before, for a clean freak like Ling Han, they were still dirty. This wasn't a psychological problem. Yi Huanyan had seen it with her own eyes. Before she took the art exam, she went to a roadside restaurant with him to eat. Later, she heard from Jiang Milan that Ling Han vomited and had diarrhea that day. The next day, he didn't even go to the company and went straight to the hospital for a drip. When did he start to change these physiological habits? She sat down hesitantly. You're eating this? I haven't had dinner. This is quite delicious. Do you want to try? Ling Han looked calm and at ease, as if he didn't think there was anything wrong with eating this. She took a deep breath. No, I've eaten. You eat it yourself. This place may not be very clean. Can you eat this? Why not? A thought-provoking light flashed in Ling Han's eyes. It was obscure, and was hidden under the lamplight of the ramen restaurant. The mist of the ramen was so dense that Yi Huanyan couldn't see his expression for a moment. She was only worried about whether he could really eat this ramen. Eat with me. Ling Han slowly raised his head, and waved at the waiter in the distance. As he spoke, he looked at Yi Huanyan's expression and asked, a bowl of dry-cut beef noodles, chopped green onions and coriander. Oh, I don't want chopped green onions. Coriander is fine. Yi Huanyan came back to her senses, but she was still a little uneasy. She subconsciously added, and add a poached egg. Ling Han's eyes deepened. Dry-cut beef noodles with a poached egg. Don't add onions, add coriander, add a poached egg. He vaguely felt that he was one step closer to the truth. When Yi Huanyan turned around to look at him, he had already put away all the inquisitive looks on his face. Everything was normal. She remembered the purpose of her visit and asked, You didn't ask me to come just to have a meal with you, did you? You didn't reply to my text messages, he said casually. 3 days in a row. Those hotel room numbers? Yi Huanyan's face darkened a little. Ling Han raised his head again and said matter-of-factly, What's wrong? I've been very busy recently. If you want to solve your physical needs, you can find someone else. Someone else? Like an ex-girlfriend or something. Yi Huanyan stood up and tried to hide her dissatisfaction. The second before she stood up, she knew that she would lose her poise, but she still couldn't restrain the anger in her heart. It was as if being in such a small street restaurant made it easy for her to forget that she now had a new identity. She had returned to being Yi Huanyan, which was very dangerous. She realized that she needed to leave here quickly. If you mean Sheng Enren, I just ate at the same table with her at a wedding. We didn't have any other interactions. Are you satisfied with this explanation? He stared at her, and his eyes showed a rare sincerity through the dense fog. Yi Huanyan's eyes froze, and she realized that she really couldn't stay in this environment anymore. She turned sideways and said, I really have something to do. Will we still see each other tonight? She stopped in her tracks and turned around to look at him. I've deleted the message. Send it again. What message? I mean, do you have time to have a drink after shooting the night scene? There was a teasing smile in his eyes as he stared at her without blinking. She looked at him and blushed angrily. No time. Go by yourself. After saying this, she angrily left the noodle restaurant. He must have done it on purpose. After Yi Huanyan left, Ling Han's eyebrows twitched slightly, and his calm expression disappeared. He held the corner of the table with one hand, and covered his stomach with the other, looking pained. Sure enough, this kind of roadside snack couldn't be eaten casually. The night scene was shot many times, and the supporting actors were always listless, which made Yi Huanyan very annoyed. Director Gu, why don't we forget about today's scene? Everyone is very tired. We haven't slept for 2 days. It was the stage supervisor who came to persuade him, and he was also yawning at the moment. Yi Huanyan was about to agree when the phone on the table vibrated twice, and a text message popped up. I have something to do tonight. Let's meet another day. Director Gu about the rest. Rest? What rest? Yi Huanyan's face darkened. He looked fierce and shouted, We're shooting through the night. If we don't finish shooting before dawn, no one can rest. I'm not resting either, am I? The stage supervisor was so scared that his face turned pale. He didn't dare to refute a word and hurriedly slipped away. Yi Huanyan had always been the easiest to talk to among the directors. This was the first time that he had lost his temper on set. Who would dare to provoke him? After Yi Huanyan shouted at the stage supervisor, the night scene was filmed very smoothly. The actors didn't dare to mess around, and they finished shooting from a few angles twice. It was almost dawn when they finished shooting. Soon Yanhua changed, and was about to go home, when he saw Yi Huanyan sitting alone behind the camera in a daze. He walked up to her and asked, "Why aren't you leaving?" Yi Huanyan snapped back to reality. "I'm about to leave. Do you want to come with me? Haiyan Media is not far from my house. I can give you a ride." Yi Huanyan looked down at her wrist. It was too late, so she felt a little apologetic for asking Gu Qi to pick her up. She wasn't a pretentious person, so she simply nodded. Su Nianhua's manager, Remy, had other artists to manage. He was in charge of picking and sending him around every day. He arranged a male assistant. He looked to be in his mid-20s, but he was very mature. After getting into the car, Yi Huanyan saw the back of the male assistant's head in the back seat. She was slightly stunned. "I remember that your previous assistant was a girl. When did you change?" "I just changed. There are usually a lot of people on set, so you probably don't remember." "Why?" Yi Huanyan vaguely remembered that the girl was quite lively and did things well. There was no reason to fire an assistant if they didn't make a mistake. Su Nianhua smiled bitterly. "At first, I thought that if I changed my assistant, Xiao Rou would be willing to come back." Hearing this, Yi Huanyan's heart tightened and she sighed silently. So this was the reason. Chapter 365. After bringing Zheng Rou to the set last time, she left Jingjing behind and went back to her parents' house alone. Yi Huanyan knew that it might be hard for her to accept such a big thing. But after all, she had nothing to do with their relationship now. Would she mind? "She hasn't contacted you since that day?" "Yes, she calls every day, but it's all about trivial things. I still don't know why she's angry with me. Maybe it's not anger." "Huh." Su Nianhua looked back at Yi Huanyan with a puzzled expression. "I mean, maybe she just wants to be alone. Sometimes, people want to be alone and think about their own things that have nothing to do with others." "Is that so?" Su Nianhua looked back at the night sky in front of the windshield. It was almost dawn. Yi Huanyan got out of the car in front of the Haiyan Media building. After waving goodbye to Su Nianhua, she swiped her card and entered the building alone. She pressed the elevator button. Naaneo had been staying at Ji Xiaoya's place recently, so the apartment was very quiet. She hugged a pillow and leaned against the window until dawn. She didn't dream and just closed her eyes. Wanting to use a new identity to return to the starting point with an old person and start anew was more and more like a fantasy story. She also had times when she was confused. When the first ray of sunlight shone on her face, she opened her eyes and got up to wash up. After dressing up and going downstairs, she greeted the security guard respectfully. She carried her bag and walked out of the company entrance. As she walked, she took out her car keys and gradually slowed down. In the parking lot in front of Haiyan Media, a silver-white Maybach was parked in the middle of the road. A tall figure stood outside the car door, looking at her with a smile. "I'm on the way, so I can give you a ride." From where he lived to Pleasure Media, then to Haiyan Media, and then to the university town. The branches were in the main city of Lonjiang City, the eastern suburbs, and the western suburbs. It was really far-fetched to say that it was on the way. She gladly accepted, and didn't intend to expose this clumsy lie. "Is this considered an apology?" After getting into the car, she asked straightforwardly. Ling Han's slender hands held the steering wheel, driving the car steadily, slowly moving forward in the traffic. "Are you asking me this because I stood you up last night? Are you angry? So what if you're angry? So what if you're not? If you're angry, this is considered an apology. If you're not angry, this is considered a courteous gesture." Yi Huanyan turned her head to look at the side of his face. Her eyes revealed a bit of astonishment. Courting? Apologize? No matter what, it was not something that Ling Han would be willing to do. She felt that since last night, Ling Han had been treating her strangely, but she couldn't put her finger on it. She could have used her power as a screenwriter to make Sheng Anren worse in the script of Remaining Life, and make people hate him. But Sheng Anren's scenes started in Hujiang, so now it was too far away to quench her thirst. And what quenched her thirst was something else. On the night that the hot search was removed, Ling Han personally visited the crew. He brought the whole team of chefs and very generously treated the crew to hot pot. Team B's director joked. President Ling, we are really flattered that such a busy person like you is here. Ling Han's eyes fell on Yi Huanyan meaningfully. I just want to thank everyone for taking care of my girlfriend. Everyone had seen the news and smiled at each other knowingly. The scene was very ambiguous. Even if Yi Huanyan was thick-skinned, he couldn't stand it. He glared fiercely at Ling Han and left the scene with a stomach full of doubts. And Ling Han's extravagance this time could be considered to have shattered some people's hearts once again. The cast and crew posted on Weibo to thank Ling Han and spent 3 million renminbi to remove the hot search. But the next day it inevitably came back. This time, it was even more aggressive. After all, there were more than 10 famous actors and actresses in the cast and crew that day. Especially Guan Nai's popularity. Under the comments section, there were a lot of people asking why Ling Han visited the set. But Ling Han didn't seem to mind. After that day, he asked Xiao Dong to send some gifts to the set and treat the crew to food and drinks. He didn't hide his relationship with Guan Nai. At this point, the rumor that Ling Han and Sheng Anren's relationship was confirmed on the internet. A month later, in Hujiang, Remaining Life finished filming in Lanjiang City's university town and moved to Xinpu District, the busiest district in Hujiang. Coincidentally, Shanghai's famous Qipao brand, Xixitang, and several major fashion media companies led by Fengshang held a Qipao show in Hujiang. Yi Huanyan also received an invitation to watch the show. Chapter 366. Based on Haiyan Media's reputation in China, Yi Huanyan would not have received an invitation if she had not taken the initiative to use her connections. However, Ji Xiaoya was the chief editor of Fengshang, so it was a piece of cake for her to invite the two of them to watch the show. In the presidential suite of the Hujiang Royal Hotel, after the doorbell rang, Yi Huanyan shuffled to the door in her hotel slippers and a loose bathrobe. Ji Xiaoya's exquisitely made-up face was reflected in the peephole. She looked sharper than usual. Before Yi Huanyan could say anything, Ji Xiaoya glanced behind her and said, "Come in. Bring the things in." Following closely behind, 2 women in black vests pushed 2 rows of hangers full of gowns into the room. Behind them were 2 men carrying large suitcases. They followed Ji Xiaoya's instructions and put down the suitcases before leaving the room. Other than Ji Xiaoya, there were only the 2 women in the room and a man who was looking at Yi Huanyan up and down. "What are you doing?" Yi Huanyan was puzzled. "Have you prepared the clothes for tonight's show?" Ji Xiaoya stood in front of her with her arms crossed. Her eyeliner was a little thick and made her look very fierce. "Yes, it's over there." Yi Huanyan pointed at the low-key black gown on the sofa. Ji Xiaoya glanced at it and said disdainfully, "That's it? Don't wear it. I brought you a new one." Yi Huanyan waved her hand. "It's okay. Mine is quite expensive. Don't be fooled by it. It looks simple. In fact, it's the main style of this year's BV show. Tonight is the Qipao show. Do you know what a Qipao show means? It means that you have to wear a Qipao." "I'm not a model." "Who said? Who said you're not a model? You have to walk around the stage with me tonight." "What?" When she heard this, Yi Huanyan was wide awake. "Are you kidding me? She was not a model. Why would she need to go on stage? The chief designer of Xishi Hall can't come tonight, so I have to find someone to walk the stage for her. The clothes that I originally prepared for her are not suitable for ordinary models. Her figure is similar to yours, so you have to reluctantly help me. I've never been on stage before. It's okay. It's just the last curtain call. You just need to follow behind all the models. You just need to walk with me and bow to everyone. You don't need to speak." While they were talking, Yi Huanyan was already pressed in front of the makeshift dressing table by Ji Xiaoya. She waved her hand and called the man with the orchid-shaped fingers over. "Give her some old-fashioned makeup to match the 3 cheongsams behind her." Yi Huanyan had a bitter expression on her face. She couldn't get away even if she wanted to, so she had no choice but to obediently follow the instructions. She was riding a tiger and couldn't get off. "You came to me. Where's Naaneo?" Yi Huanyan asked. "He's with Sinian." When she mentioned Gu Sinian, Ji Xiaoya's expression was very natural. Yi Huanyan looked at her meaningfully. I thought you wouldn't forgive my brother until a year and a half later. I didn't expect you to be so easy to talk to. Ji Xiaoya blushed and avoided Yi Huanyan's gaze. Who said I forgive him? I'm giving him a chance to make amends. After saying that, she glared at Yi Huanyan. Aren't you the same? You're not as straightforward as me. You're hiding it. Yi Huanyan was speechless. She shrugged to show that she was willing to admit defeat, and shut her mouth. Ji Xiaoya leaned on the sofa and flipped through a magazine. She casually told her about the Qipao show in the evening. Suddenly, she thought of something, closed the book and sat up. Oh right. Sheng Anren is a guest performer at the show tonight. I'm telling you in advance, so don't be too surprised. Yi Huanyan's expression froze slightly. Oh, she's coming too. If you don't want to see her, I'll ask the organizers to think of a way. You don't have to go through so much trouble. Yi Huanyan's gaze was distant. I've seen her a few times since I returned to the country. Don't forget, she's the supporting actress of Remaining Life. Speaking of this, Ji Xiaoya was a little curious. She rested her elbows on the sofa and turned to look at Yi Huanyan in the makeup mirror. She asked, what were you thinking at that time? You actually let her participate. Yi Huanyan closed her eyes and allowed the stylist to apply eyeshadow to her. She said casually, shouldn't you be more curious about how I persuaded her to be a supporting actress for Guan Nai? Yeah, I'm curious about that too. Sheng Anren was such a proud and arrogant person. When Guan Nai was still in Huanyu, she had never stopped fighting with Guan Nai openly and secretly. Later, Guan Nai left and only filmed one movie a year. But there were still comments about them on the internet. Most of the netizens were straightforward. Sheng Anren's looks belong to the tacky kind of beauty, but Guan Nai is different. Guan Nai's beauty is very high-end. Most of the netizens agreed with this kind of comment. Sheng Anren's fans were naturally unconvinced and came out to clamor for a period of time. When the reporters asked about Sheng Anren, she looked like she was implying that Guan Nai was behind this. When the reporters interviewed Guan Nai after the film festival ended 2 years ago, Guan Nai had an indifferent attitude and coldly said, I've never heard of this. That year, when Guan Nai won the Best Actress award, her award declaration was only one sentence, 2 words, thank you. Everything was said in silence. This fairy-like and outstanding attitude made Guan Nai's fans on the internet ecstatic. They all laughed at Sheng Anren's ugly table manners and disgusting face, suppressing Sheng Anren's momentum. Do you still remember Qiaomu? Yi Huanyan opened her eyes and asked calmly. Ji Xiaoya was slightly taken aback. Her eyes dimmed a bit, and she frowned. How can I not remember? He still owes me a life, so I have to let him pay it back. What happened back then was based on Qiaomu's one-sided words, so they could not be trusted. Gu Xinian later investigated in private and found that he did not do anything wrong, but there was another layer of relationship behind it. Qiaomu and Yi Huanyan had no grudge against each other. The person who ordered him to do this behind the scenes was Sheng Anren. 5 years ago, when Qiaomu was fired from the company by Ling Han, he took all the blame alone. From beginning to end, he did not rat out Sheng Anren. Sheng Anren owed him a huge favor, and Qiaomu owed Yi Huanyan a life. So you had him talk to Sheng Anren about this matter? That's right. Aren't you afraid that he will tell Sheng Anren your identity? How do you think Sheng Anren will react if he knows my identity? I think it's best that he doesn't know. Her life was saved by him. If she knew his identity, what kind of tricks would she dare to play? The stylist was completely focused on styling Yi Huanyan and did not pay attention to their conversation at all. It was as if he only had work in his mind, which Yi Huanyan appreciated. Where did you find this stylist? He's really dedicated. Ji Xiaoya smiled smugly. That's right. As a member of Fengshang, it's a basic rule to not listen and not speak carelessly. Chapter 367. The Cheongsam show was held at the Hujiang Sports Center and started at 7:00 p.m. Ling Han had asked her to be his female companion, so she had to change into her own dress first and accompany Ling Han into the venue from the main entrance. With retro makeup and firework permed hair, she looked like a Shanghai beauty from the last century. Coupled with a Hepburn black dress, She looked dignified and charming. She was the focus of the audience as soon as she entered the venue. Ling Han lowered his head and whispered in her ear, "You look beautiful tonight." Before Yi Huanyan could speak, a familiar figure walked towards them. She was wearing a light purple dress, and the hem of her dress swayed on the ground. She lifted the corner of her dress and walked towards them with a sweet smile. She glanced at Yi Huanyan indifferently, and a trace of jealousy flashed in her eyes. "Ling Han, long time no see." Ling Han looked at her expressionlessly. "I heard that you are the guest performer tonight." Sheng Anren nodded hurriedly. "Yes, the organizer has invited me many times. I can't refuse." "Well, I wish you a good performance tonight." After saying this, Yi Huanyan felt a force on her waist. She looked up and met Ling Han's eyes. "Let's go over there and have a look." Yi Huanyan was stunned and couldn't help but follow him. Out of the corner of her eye, she glanced at Sheng Anren, who was left behind, and accurately caught the sinister look in her eyes. Backstage, the stylists and makeup artists were so busy that their feet didn't even touch the ground. They were helping each model with their makeup and styling. Sheng Anren occupied a corner of the dressing room. After changing into the dress, she suddenly caught a glimpse of a dark green cheongsam, with a flower pattern on the hanger, and frowned in displeasure. "When I asked you before, didn't you say that there were no extra cheongsams? What's the matter with this?" The makeup artist glanced at the cheongsam and quickly explained, "That's for President Gu of Haiyan Media. The designer, Melinda, didn't come today. Miss Gu has a similar figure as her, so she has to wear this dress for her." Sheng Anren looked at the cheongsam on the hanger, thought of the woman who had just been intimate with Ling Han, and then thought of being forced to accept the movie, and his face sank. "You can go out first. Call me when it's time. I want to be alone for a while." She touched the flower pattern on the collar of the cheongsam, and her eyes were cold. "Walk down the stage. What kind of trash is this?" He also wanted to compete with him. After the music started playing on the stage, Ji Xiaoya hurriedly shoved Yi Huanyan into the changing room. "The cheongsam is on the rack inside. Hurry up and change. When they're done, you'll have to follow me upstairs. You still need to touch up your makeup." She wore a dark green cheongsam that went all the way down to her ankles. It complemented her fair skin, and the slit on the side made her legs look long and slender. When Yi Huanyan came out of the changing room, one of the remaining models stood backstage and gave her a look of approval. Ji Xiaoya counted the beats and said anxiously, "It's my turn. I'll go first. You follow behind me." Yi Huanyan nodded and followed her figure. The makeup artist followed her to touch up her makeup. The person in charge beside her kept urging, "It's too late. Come on. Give her the round fan and let her go on stage." In the chaos, Yi Huanyan was stuffed with a silk dough fan and pushed onto the stage with half of her face covered. Behind her came the voice of the person in charge controlling the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, go. After the order, Yi Huanyan took the first step. On the circular stage, every model needed to walk around and then come back from another exit. Not far in front of her, Sheng Anren was singing in a lavender dress. Seeing Yi Huanyan come out, she reached out to her and invited her to walk with her in a friendly manner. There were too many people sitting below the stage to watch the show. Yi Huanyan was more or less nervous and didn't pay attention to Sheng Anren's actions. She just took her hand slightly and walked towards the center of the stage according to the set pace. When she passed by Sheng Anren, she felt her body suddenly relax. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw the smile in Sheng Anren's eyes. She was stunned and had an ominous feeling. The audience gradually went into an uproar. She looked down 2 inches and suddenly realized that the toggle and loop button on her chest had fallen off at some point, revealing the edge of her underwear. At this moment, the left lapel, which was supposed to be turned over, fell down, and the toggle and loop button below also looked like it was on the verge of tearing and couldn't hold on. The whispers gradually drowned out the music. Below the stage, Ling Han had already stood up and was looking at her with a worried expression. Yi Huanyan gritted her teeth and thought for a moment. She made up her mind and simply grabbed the collar of the toggle and loop button that had fallen off. With a walla sound, she directly opened the lapel of the entire cheongsam. revealing a set of sexy black lace underwear. Her flat and smooth lower abdomen and slender white long legs were exposed in front of everyone. As for the cheongsam that was missing a row of toggle and loop buttons, she simply let it hang on her shoulders and arms and flutter like a vest. She leisurely swayed her waist and walked towards the center of the stage. She had a graceful and proud figure, like a dancer swaying in the last century in the Hujiang ballroom. She was charming and charming, attracting all the attention of the audience. Her steps were very bold, and she was full of confidence in her figure. The sexy underwear and the traditional and conservative cheongsam had a subtle collision, making the atmosphere of the scene reach a climax. Ling Han's face completely darkened. After the center of the stage was fixed, Yi Huanyan's footsteps became a little more hurried. As soon as she returned to the backstage, she quickly put on the coat handed by Ji Xiaoya, and her face was crimson. A traditional cheongsam show had been forcibly turned into a lingerie show. This was something that no one had expected. The models backstage gave her hugs and countless words of praise. Her adaptability and boldness could be said to be a model example of a professional model. Ji Xiaoya frowned and looked at the position of the toggle and loop button on her cheongsam. Her face darkened. Someone has touched this dress. Who dares to touch Melinda's design? Let me see. After the person in charge looked at the dress, his face also darkened. He said with certainty, "It has been touched. The technique is very professional. Only our insiders know that in order to fit the model's cheongsam, we reserve a thin thread of the toggle and loop button for temporary adjustment." This thread had been tampered with, and now this thread had been broken. This was the reason why the toggle and loop button had slipped off. The designer's clothes had been touched, and the first suspect was that a competitor had tried to sabotage it. As a member of the organizers, Ji Xiaoya was very angry at this moment. She followed the person in charge to check the surveillance video. Yi Huanyan returned to the changing room to change. Just as she changed and was about to pull open the curtain, she heard the sound of the door opening. Immediately, a familiar voice sounded. "Didn't you say that it was foolproof? The thread is broken. Who would have thought that this woman would be so bold and adaptable? Okay, you can go out first. I want to be alone." Yi Huanyan's eyes deepened. After hearing the sound of the door closing, Yi Huanyan decisively pulled open the curtain. Sheng Amren exclaimed and looked in her direction. In the air, their eyes met, and it seemed that a cold wind was blowing in the room. Chapter 368. Why are you here? Sheng Amren stood up from the chair with a frightened look on her face. Yi Huanyan glanced at her indifferently and lifted the bag of clothes she had changed out of. "Can't I be here?" Sheng Amren quickly regained her composure. She took a deep breath, covered her chest and said, "Sorry, you scared me." "Did I scare you because you were afraid that I would hear that you had done something to my clothes? Or did you just see me? What are you talking about? I don't understand." "Do you not understand? Or are you pretending not to understand? Please get out, or I'll call the security guard." Sheng Amren frowned and looked unhappy. "This is the public area backstage, not your dressing room alone." Yi Huanyan sneered. "I'm just curious. Why did you do something to my clothes? I don't know what you're talking about." Sheng Amren was a person who wouldn't shed tears until she saw the coffin. Yi Huanyan had seen this for a long time. She slowly exhaled. Just now, she had tried to make herself talk about the matter and not mention the past, but someone didn't know what was good for her. Because of Ling Han? Sheng Amren's face changed, and she looked at Yi Huanyan with resentment in her eyes. "Since you know all about it, I'll be honest. It's because of him. Don't think that you can marry Ling Han just because he treats you better. I haven't been able to have a place by his side for more than 6 years. Don't be wishful thinking. I advise you to stay away from him." "Oh, stay away. I think he's sincere to me." "What a joke," Sheng Amren sneered. "To tell you the truth, the woman in his heart is long dead. He can't be sincere to anyone in his life. Without that woman, no one deserves to stay by his side except me. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have a powerful background. I don't know what method you used to make me play Guan Nai's supporting role in the movie, but when it comes to Ling Han, give up. I'll fight you to the end. If it wasn't for me, why would you fight me to the death? Yi Huanyan looked at her faintly. You owe me a life. Are you done living now? You want to return it? Xing Anren was stunned. His hand holding the chair suddenly clenched, and he looked at Yi Huanyan incredulously. What do you mean? 5 years ago, during the car accident, if I hadn't pushed you out of the car, would you still be alive to sit here and flaunt your prowess in front of me? I also admire you. It's been 5 years, but you still can't forget Ling Han. Xing Anren's face turned pale. Yi Huanyan, Gu Huanyan, it wasn't just their names that were the same. You're her. Impossible, she's dead. Yi Huanyan stared at her coldly. Do you really want me to die? Hearing these words, Xing Anren's legs went soft and she fell on the chair. Her face was as pale as paper, and beads of sweat dripped down from her forehead. If you don't do anything wrong, you won't be afraid of ghosts knocking on the door in the middle of the night. Yi Huanyan leaned close to her ear and said these words faintly. His voice was so ethereal that it echoed in Xing Anren's mind repeatedly. Each time it was colder and more frightening. When she came back to her senses, she was already cold all over. The door of the locker room was open, and Yi Huanyan had long disappeared. His last words echoed in her mind. I saved your life. Cherish it. If one day you don't want to cherish it anymore, you have to return it to me. I'll be happy to witness it for you. She shuddered and stood up shakily. She wanted to chase after him to see if it was a dream. But the moment she stood up, she felt a pressure on her heart. She suddenly clutched her chest, and her legs went soft as she slid to the ground. Her vision turned black and she fainted. Yi Huanyan came out of the backstage and couldn't find Ji Xiaoya. After asking the organizer, he knew that she had gone to the security department to file a record, saying that she wanted to thoroughly investigate the matter of the clothes being tampered with. Yi Huanyan asked for the location of the security department without thinking, and went to find Ji Xiaoya with the hem of his skirt. Ling Han saw Yi Huanyan's back leaving in a hurry at the venue. Thinking of the scene where she just walked on the stage in underwear, he suddenly felt angry and squeezed out of the crowd to chase after her. At the west gate of the venue, when Yi Huanyan arrived at the security department, he only saw Naaneo sitting on the steps at the door, with snacks piled up like a hill beside him. Why are you here alone? Is uncle and godmother inside? Naaneo was brought by Gu Xinian. Gu Xinian must have heard about the clothes incident, so he came to the security department to help. Naaneo shook his head and said seriously, Uncle and godmother have already left. They said that you would definitely come here to look for them, so they asked me to wait for you here and go home with you first. They are really not worried at all. Yi Huanyan complained with a stiff face. Godmother was worried and refused to leave, but in the end, uncle carried godmother away. Hearing this, Yi Huanyan's mouth twitched. It was a pity that she didn't see this scene. What about the snacks? She asked. Naaneo spread his hands and looked helpless. I said that I don't want to eat, but the uncles and aunties here gave me a lot. Okay, pack up your snacks and come back to the hotel with me. Naaneo stood up and patted the dust on his butt. He was too small, and there were too many snacks. After carrying them for a long time, he still dropped them as he walked. Yi Huanyan laughed as she followed behind him and helped him pick them up. She picked them up and threw them into his hoodie one by one. This warm scene fell into the eyes of Ling Han, who was standing in the distance. The burning anger was covered by a layer of doubt and calmed down again. If everything was as he had expected, then whose child was this? In the presidential suite of the Royal Hotel in Shanghai, after taking a shower, Yi Huanyan held a paper bag on the table and showed it to Naaneo. Look, mommy went shopping and bought you something. I don't want it. Naaneo curled up on the sofa with a towel wrapped around him. Where are my pajamas? This is it. Yi Huanyan took out a pink outfit from the paper bag and shook it in the air. It was Hello Kitty's one-piece pajamas. She smiled and said, Dang 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 dang, isn't it cute? There's also a kitten hat. Naaneo glanced at it and hesitated. Can I not wear it? It's so cute, don't you like it? Why don't you wear it? Children should wear cute clothes like this more often, don't you think so? Naaneo let his mother force his little arms and legs into the pink pajamas as he cursed inwardly. No matter what I say is right or wrong. Aren't you making me wear this? What right do I have to say? Women are so troublesome. He had just been ruined by his godmother, and now he was in the hands of his biological mother. He kind of missed the days with his uncle. After putting on the pajamas, Yi Huanyan went into the bathroom to take a shower. Naaneo turned over on the sofa and was about to go back to his room. Just as he stepped on the carpet, the doorbell rang in the room. He hesitated and walked to the door. He first put on the safety chain and then opened the door slightly under the control of the safety chain. He cautiously took 2 steps back and kept a relatively safe distance from the door. Who are you looking for? Chapter 369. A young boy's voice came from behind the door. His tone was vigilant and arrogant, so it was obvious who it was. Recalling how he was tricked by this little brat in Iceland, Ling Han's face turned green. However, he couldn't be calculative because he was still a child, so he said in a deep voice, "I'm looking for your mother." Naaneo raised his eyebrows and stared at the figure outside the door. His little body was still holding his arms, and his expression was full of contempt. "Do you have an appointment? My mommy is very busy." Ling Han patiently added, "It's me." After all, they had met once in Iceland. Although there was a misunderstanding last time, Ling Han still felt that he had been very lenient to this little brat. He should at least show some basic courtesy. After a while, the voice behind the door said lightly, "I don't care who you are. Come back tomorrow." Naaneo reached out and pushed the door open. He rolled his eyes at the figure outside the door, who was like a mountain to him. Goodbye. With a bang, the door was closed. The world was silent, and the sound of water in the bathroom stopped abruptly. Yi Huanyan poked her wet head out of the bathroom, but because there was still shampoo foam on her forehead, she had to close her eyes. She held the door frame and closed her eyes as she asked, "Naaneo, is someone here? Who are you talking to?" Naaneo patted his little hands and softened his steps. "No one. I was just watching TV. When I opened the door, the hotel staff asked me if I wanted to eat ice cream." Hearing this, Yi Huanyan frowned. "You can't eat ice cream. Your uncle said that you have been having diarrhea for the past 2 days, so you can't eat raw and cold seafood. Where's the ice cream? Give it to me." As she spoke, she stretched out a smooth arm from the bathroom. "I didn't eat it. I told him to leave." Naaneo explained helplessly. "That's more like it." After the bathroom door closed, the sound of running water filled the room again. In order to prevent the doorbell from being heard again, Naaneo deliberately turned up the volume of the TV. The whole room was practically shaking. Sure enough, as soon as the volume was turned up, the doorbell light at the door lit up. "Didn't I tell you to come back tomorrow? My mommy is asleep." He impatiently opened the door a crack and yelled at the outside. Ling Han looked down at the little brat, who was not even as tall as the anti-theft chain. His expression was calm as he said coldly, "I'm looking for you." In Naaneo's eyes, only those who accompanied him were considered family. The so-called father, other than being related to him by blood, was almost meaningless to him. It was also a good thing that he had matured when he was young. After all, he did not have to worry about not having a father. Before he looked up Ling Han's information, he still had a glimmer of hope for his father. However, after he found out about what happened between him and his mother, he felt that it was far better for his mother to live with him, his uncle, his grandparents, and his family, than with this irresponsible father of hers. In fact, it was much better, much better. "You seem to be very resistant to me." In the large room, Ling Han's voice fell into Naaneo's ears through the sound of running water and the slightly lowered volume of the TV. Naaneo was sitting in front of the TV, and he was sitting on the sofa diagonally opposite Naaneo. In front of him was a rectangular wooden coffee table with a fruit plate and some snacks on it. Naaneo looked at him warily and said bluntly, "Are you dating my mommy?" "Yes." "Then do you think that as my mommy's lover, and as my mommy's son, I should have a good attitude towards you?" Hearing this, Ling Han was a little stunned, and then he laughed. So you're so resistant because you're worried that I won't treat you well after I'm with your mother? No. He shook his head, and his eyes showed a sharpness that was different from his peers. The bigger reason is that I don't think you're sincere to my mommy. Why do you say that? What did your mommy say to you? Ling Han frowned and looked in the direction of the bathroom. Naaneo looked at the man in front of him coldly. I have my own judgment, and I don't need my mommy to tell me anything. I can know a lot of things to judge whether a person is worth my mommy being with him or not. It might not be appropriate to discuss his feelings with a child. What adults often did was to not take the opinions or thoughts of children seriously, but many times, children were more far-sighted than adults. Ling Han's frown deepened as he slowly spat out 2 words. Reason. Naaneo crossed his arms, and his eyes became colder. If there was a mirror at this moment, Ling Han might be able to find out that this child had something in common with him. You've been married. Your mommy was married too. After saying that, Ling Han looked at him meaningfully. And she has a son I don't. Naaneo raised the corner of his mouth and revealed a mocking smile. Will you marry my mommy? For such a sneer to appear on a 5-year-old child, it was unavoidably chilling. Ling Han suddenly remembered that he had heard from Gu Huanyan that her son had suffered a brain injury before he was born. He was different from ordinary children, especially at night. Seeing once was better than hearing 100 times. Marriage is the highest promise a man can make to a woman. If you can't do this, why should I accept you? When such mature words came from the mouth of such a little boy, it sounded pretentious. But for the first time, Ling Han took the child's words seriously. I won't. He looked at the intelligent and emotional boy in front of him seriously, and his eyes were thought-provoking. But I won't marry another woman. I've only been married to one person in my life. I don't know if you understand, but that person is the love of my life. Even if she's dead, she's still my love. And your mommy doesn't necessarily need to marry me. He had a guess in his heart that urgently needed to be verified. But he couldn't be too hasty in case he alerted the enemy. He had to take it slow. The biggest doubt in his mind right now was probably this little boy with outstanding intelligence. After Ling Han said this, Naaneo frowned and muttered to himself for a while. In the end he said, I'm going to sleep. You can leave. He needed time to think about whether the man in the information and the man in front of him, who looked so affectionate, were the same person. There seemed to be a difference somewhere. In the information that Gu Min gave him, this man was clearly a cold and heartless person. His mother was a soft-hearted woman. To put it bluntly, she had no principles. If it weren't for his uncle and family protecting her, she would have died 5 years ago. It was all because of this man in front of him. This was the first time in Ling Han's life that he had encountered such a rude expulsion order. But the other party was a child, and it would be ungentlemanly to be angry with a child. He frowned and got up to leave. When he reached the door, he held the door frame and turned back to ask, When is your birthday? Chapter 370. Yi Huanyan came out of the bathroom after taking a shower. The TV was still on in the living room. Naaneo's little head poked out from the sofa. He sat there motionlessly like a meditating little monk. Why aren't you going to bed? Yi Huanyan walked up and took Naaneo, who was wearing Hello Kitty pajamas, into her arms. What are you watching? The Matrix. Following his gaze, Yi Huanyan looked up and saw that the TV was filled with a solemn and nervous atmosphere. She pursed her lips. Children should watch more childish things. With that said, she took the remote control on the coffee table and switched to a cartoon channel. She changed to a pet cartoon and then held the bag of snacks on the coffee table in front of Naaneo. Do you want some? No, I'm brushing my teeth. Oh. Yi Huanyan ate a big bag of chips by herself and giggled at the pink bunny running around on the TV. Naaneo, who was in her arms, stared at the TV expressionlessly and yawned in boredom. It's so boring. Isn't the new version of Cinderella good? It's not good. Then I'll give you the old version. The classic version is the classic version. You have good taste. Naaneo pursed his lips and finally resisted the urge to refute his mother. He didn't like the old version, the new version, or the classic version. Only people who believed in fairy tales would like these things. He didn't believe in fairy tales. After watching the entire classic version of Cinderella, Yi Huanyan finally finished the third bag of chips, and finally found her son sleeping in her arms. She carefully tapped his nose, and then carried him to the bedroom. She carefully lifted the blanket and hugged him to sleep. "Mommy, what's wrong? Mommy's here. Do you like that man?" Hearing this, Yi Huanyan's heart skipped a beat. She lowered her head and looked at the man in her arms. Naaneo looked at her with sleepy eyes and a puzzled expression. "He obviously didn't treat you well. Why did you come back for him?" Yi Huanyan frowned. "Uncle told you? Or godmother?" Gu Xinian and Ji Xiaoya were probably the two people who knew the most about Ling Han's mistreatment of her. All these years, Gu Xinian had often talked bad about Ling Han in front of Naaneo. Naaneo rarely mentioned his father in front of her. But at this moment, he seemed to already know the relationship between him and Ling Han. "No." He shook his head. "Uncle and godmother never said anything about it. I want to hear it from Mommy." Yi Huanyan's eyes froze, and she stared at her son in a daze. For so many years, she had never taken the initiative to mention his father in front of her son. Just because she didn't say anything didn't mean that she didn't care that she couldn't give her son a complete family. No matter how good his uncle and grandparents were to Naaneo, it wasn't the love of his parents. His intelligence was different from ordinary people, and his occasional strange behavior made her feel sorry. She even wondered if it was because of the lack of fatherly love that he had developed such a mature temperament. A year ago in Florida, when he first went to the nursery, Gu Xinian was afraid that she would be worried, so he specially gave her the surveillance video of the entire nursery. Every day in the hospital, she would find out in real time what Naaneo was doing, what he was learning, and whether he was getting along well with the other children. One of the things that left the deepest impression on her was that there was going to be a parent-child activity in the nursery. There was going to be an exhibition for the children's clay sculptures. Naaneo's clay sculpture was a pet frisbee, and it was very beautiful. The teacher told the children to go home and tell their parents to come to the exhibition the next day. The other children happily nodded and agreed. Only Naaneo asked the teacher, "I don't have a father. Can my uncle come?" He seemed to really not care about the fact that he didn't have a father, but the impact of not having a father on him was very significant. For example, after that day, the nursery teacher would give him a few more cookies. For example, other children would take the initiative to give him their building blocks, and even help him complete his homework. It might seem like a friendly concern, but from another perspective, it was also a form of sympathy. Naaneo only stayed in the nursery for a month. Later, after he pushed down the building blocks that other children had helped him complete, Gu Xinian took him away from the nursery. After that, he changed 2 nursery schools. He never mentioned that he didn't have a father again. If he said that he didn't care, perhaps he really didn't care. But how could a child not have any impact on not having a father? Yi Huanyan felt a little guilty. She kissed Naaneo's forehead and whispered, "He's actually not as bad as your uncle said. And I also think that you need a father." "Is it because of me?" Naaneo frowned. "Is it because of me that you left Grandpa, Grandma, and Uncle and came back to look for him?" "Not all of it. Mommy knows that you're very smart and different from other children, but you may not understand the feelings between adults. Most of the time, children like a person because that person is good to them. To you, such a person is like Mommy, Uncle, Grandma and Grandpa, even Aunt Gings who takes care of you, or Teacher Denise in the nursery. But when you grow up, you'll find that you can't help but like a person who doesn't treat you well. It's just because you're attracted to him. Maybe it's because he's good-looking, or maybe it's because he's righteous and kind. This person may not be that good in the eyes of others, but in your eyes, he's really good. Losing him will be a fatal blow to you. At that time, you'll find that you don't ask for anything in return when you love someone." Naaneo was even more confused. How can you like a person who doesn't treat you well? This is just an example. In fact, you think that he doesn't treat me well, but he's actually very good to me. From the time I first met him to when I graduated from university, he was very good to me for more than 6 years. Naaneo, do you really not like him that much? It was this kind of kindness that made her feel grateful for so many years. No matter how he misunderstood her, she could forgive him. After a long time, Naaneo turned over and nestled in Yi Huanyan's arms. It doesn't matter if I like him or not. Mommy, it's fine as long as you like him. Mommy, don't look for him because of me. I don't like this reason. I can live without Daddy, but I can't live without Mommy. I think you will like him. The moon was bright outside the window, and the insomniac was not far away. The ashtray was filled with cigarette butts. The phone suddenly rang and broke the silence in the room. Ling Han stubbed out the cigarette in his hand and threw it into the ashtray. He answered the phone. Xiao Dong was calling, and he sounded a little depressed. President Ling, Sheng Anren has rejected the contract extension. Ling Han frowned. What's the reason? Have they signed with other companies? No. I think Sheng Anren's manager is also confused. It seems that Sheng Anren is the one who made the decision. Chapter 371. In addition, Sheng Anren said that she wants to withdraw from the filming of Remaining Life. When he heard this, Ling Han frowned. Withdraw from the filming? She's going to breach the contract? Yes, the breach of contract has been paid in full. It looks like she's going to completely cut ties with our company, but we don't know why she's doing this yet. Sheng Anren's sudden unilateral announcement of her withdrawal from the filming of Remaining Life was like a bomb dropped in the entertainment industry. The major media companies that had been silent for a long time released articles one after another, and what was originally a very common topic of contract breach became the #1 trending topic. Netizens had always liked to watch a good show, and Sheng Anren's fans had always been hot-tempered. My sister Ran was bullied by that self-proclaimed fairy sugar daddy on set, so she should have left long ago. Directly triggered a second war with Guan Nai's fans. The rumor that Guan Nai was a sugar daddy was 800 years old, and it had been clarified at the time. Unfortunately, the fan war had always been fierce and vicious, regardless of the truth. For this war, the fuse was Sheng Anren's disappearance, and even her agent couldn't find her. The other protagonist, Guan Nai, was too lazy to care about these trivial matters as usual. She was focused on the filming, and only left a sentence to Yi Huanyan. I don't mind if you want to change my role, but I still have 3 days to finish the filming of the scenes in Hujiang other than Sheng Anren. If I can't find Sheng Anren in 3 days, I think it's time for me to replace him, considering the loss of funding. Su Nianhua stood behind Guan Nai with the script in his hand. We can't replace her at the last minute. It will have a certain impact on the early publicity of the movie. Sheng Anren has many fans, and if her fans hate her because of this, it's not good for Ye. Then get her back. Guan Nai shrugged and turned back to the lounge with her script. I don't have a problem with her, I just hate her. Yi Huanyan and Su Nianhua looked at each other. She didn't have a problem? Then what would be considered as having an opinion? Ling Han said that he didn't know where Sheng Anren had gone. That was to say, even her agent didn't know where she had gone. Before leaving, he had settled all the liquidated damages of the company and the movie. He couldn't ask the police for help. When Ji Xiaoya heard about this, she clapped her hands and laughed. Did she run away because she knew you were back? These words reminded Yi Huanyan of something. Ling Han had just returned to Lanjiang City from Hujiang, and was about to arrange for his men to find Sheng Anren, when he received a call from Yi Huanyan. On the other end of the phone, Yi Huanyan's tone was very urgent. When was the last time you heard from Sheng Anren? Ling Han frowned. On the night of the Cheongsam show, my secretary called me and said that Sheng Anren's agent said that she did not intend to renew the contract. The liquidated damages for the movie have been transferred to the company's account. Is there a problem? Have you asked Sheng Anren's agent when Sheng Anren last contacted him by phone or in person? By phone. At that time, Sheng Anren should still be in Hujiang. Her agent should be in Lanjiang, so they could only contact each other by phone. Okay, I see. After saying this, Yi Huanyan hung up the phone. On the other end of the phone, Ling Han stared at the dark mobile screen in confusion and frowned. Every time on the phone, she was in such a hurry. What was wrong with Gu Huanyan? Sheng Amren's agent? A clue flashed through Ling Han's mind. He quickly pressed the phone on his desk. Call Sheng Amren's agent to my office. I have something to ask him. On the other side, Yi Huanyan directly looked through the mobile phone memo as soon as he hung up the phone. After finding an address, he drove directly to it. In the southern suburbs of Hujiang, in the farthest place from the main city, there was a sanatorium. The person who received Yi Huanyan was the person in charge of the sanatorium. She had been here before. The person in charge knew her, so he directly took her to the place where she had gone last time. Mr. Qiao, someone is here to see you. The person in charge stood at the gate of the courtyard and shouted at the man who was watering with the sprinkler. When the man turned around, the person in charge walked away, leaving the courtyard to Yi Huanyan to talk to him. It seems that you are not surprised at all that I am here to see you. Yi Huanyan stood in front of the flowers with his bag, and there was a clump of Chinese roses between him and Xiao Mu. The Chinese roses were in full bloom, but they made the man in the flower clump look even more lifeless. He was less than 40 years old and in the prime of his life, but now he was cooped up in such a small sanatorium, planting flowers and raising grass every day, like an old man waiting for death. It's not your first time here. You don't need to be so surprised. He carried the sprinkler and carefully walked out of the flower clump. When he walked, one of his legs was a little weak. If one looked carefully, one would find that his leg was a little weak when it touched the ground. I've always wanted to ask you what happened to your leg. I broke it myself to remind myself not to get carried away after paying off other people's debts. It's enough to just obediently stay in the place that belongs to me. He casually skimmed over the heart-wrenching scene from 5 years ago. No one knew what kind of sin this leg was shouldering in his eyes. He broke his own leg to beg for Ling Han's forgiveness and to stop asking about the past. In exchange for the woman he loved, he could live a carefree life. He had once asked himself if it was worth it, but no matter how many times he asked himself, he would probably do the same thing again if he had the chance to do it all over again. I came to find you because I want to ask you something. I've already finished the thing you asked me to do when you came last time. Secretary Yi, you have to keep your word. Xiaomu picked up the cup of water on the coffee table in the hallway and drank a mouthful with a calm expression. The thing I came to find you for can be considered the same thing as the matter from last time. Yi Huanyan smiled. But seeing how calm you are, you should know what I want to ask you, right? It's just so easy to talk to smart people. But smart people might not give you the answer you want. Yi Huanyan's expression darkened bit by bit. Do you think you can repay what you owe others so easily? Even if you repay it, do you think she will repay it? If I die, you'll never be able to pay me back. You owe me 2 lives. Now that I'm alive, if you insist on helping her, then you owe me the life of my child and the life that I saved Sheng Anren. There are 2 lives in total. That's not too much, right? She just wants to live a good life. What harm can retirement do to you? She knows her wrongs and has sincerely repented. Take it as me begging you, please let her go. Xiao Mu's expression was firm. If you still can't vent your anger, you can take my other leg. Chapter 372. Do I want your legs to be used as decorations in the house or something? Yi Huanyan looked at him coldly. In your eyes, you've already done everything you can, but in my eyes, your legs are worthless? You've been living in this sanatorium all these years, cut off from the rest of the world. Rather than calling it atonement, it's better to say that you're giving yourself psychological comfort. Some mistakes can be made up for, and some can't. Don't you know this? What exactly do you want? Xiaomu held onto the chair, her face pale. I only ask that you let Imran go. You've painstakingly left a way out for her. But have you ever thought that she might not appreciate it? Xiaomu avoided her gaze with a complicated expression. I don't understand what you're saying. You really don't understand. Yi Huanyan's face darkened. Kidnapping is illegal. Are you crazy? I don't know what you're talking about. Xiaomu refused to admit it. Yi Huanyan had expected this. If Sheng Anren wanted to terminate her contract with pleasure, she would not have done it in such a hurry. Everything happened too suddenly. She did not think that she was that intimidating to Sheng Anren, scaring her into running away after just meeting her once. Not many people knew about what happened back then. That night, after Sheng Anren saw her, she must have gone to confront Xiaomu to confirm whether she was really Yi Huanyan. That night, Sheng Anren's manager only answered a phone call before terminating her contract. There was no room for negotiation. This was too strange. According to Sheng Anren's protection of her fans, even if she wanted to retire, she would not have done it in such a hurry. Therefore, after confirming the urgency of this matter from Ling Han, she was almost instantly certain that there was more to it than met the eye a month ago. After coming to the sanatorium and seeing Xiaomu, his complexion was much better than a month ago, and there was a bit of light in his lifeless eyes. What was it that made him reignite hope for life? This was only Yi Huanyan's guess. After some conversations, she gradually confirmed that Sheng Anren had been detained by him. To be more precise, Sheng Anren had been hidden in this sanatorium by him. When I asked you to help me find Sheng Anren, you agreed too readily. This is too different from your reaction to protect her just now. From the moment you saw me, you began to plan this matter, didn't you? Should I say that you are deeply in love with her? Or should I say that you are stupid? It's already been 5 years. No matter what we do, you can't forgive us, right? You clearly promised me that you wouldn't make things difficult for her. Which eye of yours saw me making things difficult for her? Although I let her play a supporting role for Guan Nai, this role won't hurt her at all. It will only make her more famous. I can guarantee this. Seeing that Xiaomu's expression had softened, Yi Huanyan stepped forward. Xiaomu, I don't care why you kidnapped her, but this is against the law. Quickly release her before the police arrive, and I will pretend that nothing happened. You are still young. Perhaps there are other possibilities between you and her. Xiaomu hesitated for a long time before finally nodding. She said with difficulty, she's in the room. Yi Huanyan did not know what method Xiaomu used to hide Sheng Anren in this room. For such a large person to obediently listen to Xiaomu's arrangements without making a sound, it would probably be very difficult. Inside the room, Sheng Anren was quietly lying on the bed. What happened to her? Yi Huanyan's heart tightened, and she reflexively wanted to turn around and ask Xiaomu. The moment she turned around, she felt a sharp pain in her neck. Her vision turned black, and she slammed into the cold floor. The pain assaulted her, and she gradually lost consciousness. The second before she fainted, she felt especially indignant. At this time, Ji Xiaoye should have arrived a long time ago. What on earth did she do? She actually screwed up on such an important matter. Too unreliable. She did not know how long she had been unconscious for. When she woke up, she was tied to a chair in the corner, unable to move. Her mouth was stuffed with a towel, so she could only make muffled sounds. She looked in horror at Sheng Anren, who was lying motionless on the bed, her face pale. The windows in the room were all covered by black curtains, not letting in a single ray of light. Only a lamp was lit at the head of the bed. The light was dim, and she could barely make out the person on the bed. Xiaomu was not in the room. The blanket on Sheng Anren's body rose and fell rhythmically. When Yi Huanyan saw this scene, her eyes froze. She then desperately moved the chair under her, trying to make some noise to wake her up. Woo-woo. When she finally got close to the bed, she viciously kicked the bed. The person on the bed coughed and faintly woke up. The first thing she saw when she woke up was Yi Huanyan, who was tied up at the end of the bed. Sheng Anren's face paled, and she crawled up while clutching the blanket. She exclaimed, "Why are you here?" Yi Huanyan only felt that her situation was extremely awkward. At this moment, she wondered if her action of waking up Sheng Anren was inviting trouble to herself. After all, this woman was very vicious. She might kill her to silence her at this time. Sheng Anren stared at her in a daze for a while before lifting the blanket and getting off the bed. She walked up to her with a very complicated expression. After hesitating for a few seconds, she tugged at the towel in Yi Huanyan's mouth and cautiously asked, "Why are you here too?" Yi Huanyan panted and moved her masseter muscles. She looked up at her. Don't tell me you were sleeping just now. Sheng Anren creased her brows. I was sleeping. I always felt that it wasn't safe to sleep anywhere else, so I came here. Then when did you start to sleep? After the Cheongsam show celebration party. After 12 o'clock in the evening. Yi Huanyan looked at her meaningfully, took a deep breath and said slowly. It's been 2 days since you said it was today. Sheng Anren's eyes widened. What did you say? Keep your voice down. Yi Huanyan frowned and gave her a white look. When he comes back later, you'll sleep until next year. He's back? Who's back? What's the situation? Sheng Anren turned around in front of Yi Huanyan like a headless fly. Yes, why are you tied up here? There was a rustling sound in the yard outside the door. It came from far to near. Yi Huanyan glared at her fiercely and lowered her voice. If you don't want to die, go back and lie still. Sheng Anren's face turned white, and she hurried towards the bed. Come back. Yi Huanyan called out to her. Give me the towel back. Xiaomu walked into the room and saw Yi Huanyan sitting at the end of the bed, sizing up the person on the bed with a horrified expression. He hesitated for a few seconds before explaining. I only gave her some sleeping pills, not too much. She'll wake up later. If you don't scream, I can give you something to eat. Chapter 373. Xiaomu walked closer and tried to help her remove the towel that was gagging her. Seeing him approach, Yi Huanyan glared at him in disgust and turned her head away. However, because she was tied up, her gaze did not seem imposing at all. In reality, other than when she threatened Sheng Anren during the Qipao show, she felt that she was very down and out in all other situations. At the very least, she was someone with a background now. So why did she keep encountering these kinds of unlucky things? Xiaomu resentfully retracted her hand and said embarrassedly, Apologies, Secretary Yi, I don't mean to hurt you. I just want to leave this place with Anren and start anew. After we leave, the director will find you and let you go. Yi Huanyan creased her brows and whimpered at him. Do you want me to help you remove the towel? Xiaomu asked hesitantly. She nodded, appearing a bit impatient. Don't make too much noise. Otherwise I'll offend you. Xiaomu glanced at her with warning in his eyes, before helping her remove the towel. After removing the towel, Yi Huanyan felt that her breathing was much smoother. She took a few deep breaths to calm her emotions before looking at him and asking, Where are you taking her? Xiaomu was packing a 24-inch suitcase, and there were passports, IDs, and other documents on the desk. When he heard this, he looked up at Yi Huanyan. To a place where no one knows us. Did you ask for her opinion? He paused in his packing. I'm doing this for her own good. When have you not done this for her own good? But isn't today's situation all because you solemnly swore that you were doing this for her own good? Yi Huanyan's eyes were very sharp. For her own good. You agreed to help her change the DNA test report back then. For her own good. You connived with her instigating Yin Guogua to hit me with a car. For her own good. You made me promise you that she was the real murderer behind Ling Han's back. For her own good. You're even going to pack and take her away without her consent. Have you ever thought about what you did right when you said you were doing for her own good? Enough. Xiaomu coldly interrupted her. But her back was already soaked with cold sweat. Have you ever thought that it was you who spoiled her step by step and made her become what she is now? Yi Huanyan looked at him coldly with pity in her eyes. You didn't figure it out 5 years ago. It's true that you lost your job because of her, but you asked for it. You're such an unprincipled person. No matter how much you've sacrificed, you deserve it even if you break your legs or lose your life. Do you think you can win her heart? Look at yourself now. Xiaomu's face was flushed red. She deliberately hid her lame leg behind the desk, as if she had a guilty conscience. She held the corner of the desk with both hands and trembled all over. You're crazy. I think you're crazy. Yi Huanyan's face was apathetic, and her pair of icy eyes stared fixedly at Xiaomu, her eyes full of loathing. The atmosphere in the room became subtle. There was a deathly stillness, and even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Don't blame him. The woman's voice broke the deadlock, and Xiao Mu's eyes froze. She stiffly looked in the direction of the bed, her eyes full of astonishment. Sheng Amren slowly lifted the blanket and stood up. Her face was pale as she knelt on the floor with a plop. She lowered her head in Yi Huanyan's direction and said in a choked voice, I was the one who made all the mistakes. It has nothing to do with him. He has his own principles and bottom line. I was the one who begged him again and again, and I even used our relationship to coerce him. I was also the one who ordered Yin Guogua to hit you. He didn't know about any of this at all. It was my fault. It was my fault from beginning to end. Xiao Mu dragged one leg to her side and held her shoulder, but she could not say a word. She could only kneel in front of Yi Huanyan with her. I was jealous of you. I was jealous that you could win Ling Han's heart. At first, I thought you were the mistress who came between us, but later I found out that I was the one who came between you two. Or rather, I was just lying to myself and insisted on squeezing between the two of you. When I saw the bedroom on the second floor of the old villa, I knew that your importance in his heart was not something that we women could compare to. It was ridiculous that I had always called myself Mrs. Ling and thought that he treated me differently from other women. I thought that as long as I was obedient and didn't make any mistakes, he would eventually marry me one day. At this point, she looked up at Yi Huanyan while crying and laughing at the same time. Later on, when I found out about your existence, I realized that I was different from other women. It was just that I was smart enough to know when to advance or retreat, and never cross the line. Xiao Mu supported her tottering body, and her voice was hoarse. But in his heart, a woman who doesn't cross the line will never be able to become his wife. At most, she will be a rumored girlfriend. I have seen what he is like when he truly loves someone. He is jealous because of you and treats you well in silence. The gentleness in his eyes when he looks at you drives me crazy with jealousy. So I thought that if you weren't there, perhaps he would put up with it, and I could also enjoy this kind of gentle treatment. Tears streamed down Sheng Anren's face, and her eyes seemed to be filled with endless remorse. The unwillingness that she saw 2 days ago had already completely disappeared. She only stared blankly at Yi Huanyan, seemingly scrutinizing her face. In the end, she took a deep breath and said in a choked voice, 5 years have been long enough. I wasn't able to become that kind of person. He still only has you in his heart. Even if you are completely different from before, he still only has you in his heart. Xiao Mu held her shoulder, gratification floating in her eyes. She looked up at Yi Huanyan and cautiously said, I will do my best to repay what I owe you. No matter what you want me to do, I will do my best to do it. I only ask that you let her go. Are you done yet? Yi Huanyan's face was ashen. Tying me up in this kind of place, and kneeling in front of me, to force me to accept your repentance. Are you kidding me? Xiao Mu's expression was resentful, but she was unwilling to untie the ropes. Yi Huanyan's current status was incomparable to the past, and the Gu clan financial group's international influence was also extraordinary. Under this kind of background, he and Sheng Anren were merely fish on the chopping board, at the mercy of others. Even though Yi Huanyan was tied up right now, he still did not dare to lay a finger on her. I don't plan on doing anything to you. I just want Sheng Anren to finish filming my movie as the second female lead. This role suits her very well. Although she's not the female lead, I don't have any intention of bullying her, right? You can leave if you want, but if you don't film just because you say so, where am I going to find people at the last minute? Can you be a little more professional? Hearing this, Sheng Anren creased her brows and looked at Yi Huanyan in confusion. She even spoke with a heavy nasal voice. I don't have any intention of not filming. You don't, but a certain person who made you sleep here for 2 days does. Yi Huanyan's gaze faintly circled Xiao Mu. What do you think? Chapter 374. Sheng Anren was a smart person. After carefully connecting the dots with Yi Huanyan's words, she more or less understood her situation and the reason for it. She took the initiative to untie Yi Huanyan. Xiao Mu tried to stop her, but she turned around and stood in front of Yi Huanyan. Xiao Mu, I've thought about it. I'll go with you, But I want to finish filming this movie. Yi Huanyan looked at the back of the figure blocking her in astonishment. She could not see Sheng Anren's expression, but she saw the astonishment on Xiao Mu's face gradually turn placid. He slowly curled his lips, revealing a very gentle smile. He opened his mouth and uttered, "Okay." After untying the ropes, Yi Huanyan moved her arms and extended her hand toward Xiao Mu. "Where's my bag?" Xiao Mu quickly bent down and took out Yi Huanyan's bag from under the desk. A trace of envy flashed through Sheng Anren's eyes. There were even tears in her eyes, but she could not help but cry out in surprise. "How did you get Gucci's latest bag?" Yi Huanyan tugged at her lips. This woman was truly as crazy about all kinds of luxury bags as the news said. Our relationship doesn't seem to be good enough to talk about bags together. Sheng Anren looked resentful and lowered her head in embarrassment. However, she still could not help but take a few more glances at her bag from the corner of her eyes. She flipped open her phone and saw that there were indeed missed calls from Ji Xiaoya. "I'm leaving first. I still have something to do. Report to the set tomorrow morning." After glancing at Sheng Anren, she walked out of the room and returned Ji Xiaoya's call. "Where are you?" Ji Xiaoya's voice came from the other end of the phone. "The sanatorium. I'm just about to come out. I was just with Xiao Mu. Aya, don't come out." Ji Xiaoya's voice inexplicably lowered. "Ling Han is in the sanatorium. If he knows that you came to find Xiao Mu, won't your identity be exposed?" "What?" Yi Huanyan paled. "Why would he come to find Xiao Mu?" "I'll tell you about it when you come out. I'll circle around the sanatorium. If there's a back door, I'll wait for you there. Don't come out from the front door, or you'll run into them." Ji Xiaoya urged on the other end of the phone. Hello. The phone was busy. Yi Huanyan stood in the corridor and looked at the tall and hurried figure at the entrance of the courtyard. She revealed a stiff smile. At this time, if she said that it was a coincidence, it would make her seem especially stupid. Therefore, she calmly walked down the stairs and walked towards him. "President Ling, you're too late. I've already settled the matter." Ling Han frowned and looked into the room. "What did you solve?" "Sheng Anren has agreed to continue filming Remaining Life." "She's here?" Ling Han stared at her, his tone very aggressive. "Why is she here? And why do you know she's here?" Just as they were talking, two people walked out of the room. They were probably mentally prepared as they calmly walked behind Yi Huanyan. Xiao Mu held Sheng Anren's shoulder without any hesitation. She frowned, her eyes full of guilt. "President Ling, I wasn't asking you." Ling Han merely glanced at them indifferently before his gaze returned to Yi Huanyan's face. He had just found out about Xiao Mu and Sheng Anren's relationship, but it was not important to him right now. "I'm asking you, why do you know so much? Don't forget who I am." Yi Huanyan raised her eyebrows and smiled magnanimously. "As the second miss of the Gu family, if you can't even find someone, then don't embarrass yourself here. As for your ex-girlfriend and your ex-assistant, I don't think it's convenient for me to know. It seems a bit awkward for me to be here. If you don't mind, I'll leave first." Ling Han did not stop her, and only turned around to watch her quickly disappear from his sight. Then, he slowly returned to his senses and sized up the couple in front of him. Finally, his gaze landed on Xiao Mu's face. "When did this happen?" His voice was very low, but his tone was very calm. There were many things that were difficult to say, and that was the case for Xiao Mu. However, Sheng Anren did not. She coldly gazed at Ling Han and remained composed. "We got together 5 years ago. The things that Xiao Mu did before actually had nothing to do with him. I was the one who made him do it. I was the one who threatened him to do it. I used the video of me sleeping with him." A cold glint surfaced in Ling Han's eyes. "Is that so? It has nothing to do with him at all? Then why did he defend you with all his might when I asked him why he did those things?" Xiao Mu's face was pale. She gritted her teeth, but did not know what to say. Sheng Anren held his arm, and her gaze became more resolute. "You don't have to be so overbearing. It's true that I did wrong, but Yi Huanyan has always been loyal and devoted to you. I created a misunderstanding between you and Yi Huanyan, and even caused the death of her child. This is my sin, and I will bear it. However, This is what I owe you, Huanyan. We don't owe you anything. Ling Han stood at the entrance to the courtyard and coldly looked at Xiao Mu, as if waiting for his response. He and Sheng Anren were just putting on a show. Indeed, there was no such thing as anyone owing anyone anything. They both brought it upon themselves, and it was the cycle of karma. However, he was different from Xiao Mu. They were university classmates and had worked together for many years. Xiao Mu owed him an explanation. Under the corridor, the night breeze gently brushed past. Xiao Mu pulled his arm out of Sheng Anren's grasp and walked down the stairs alone to stand in front of Ling Han. He walked slowly, but if one looked closely, it could be seen that one of his legs was inconvenienced. Sorry, Ling Han. He stood in front of him, less than half a meter away. The scene seemed to have turned back to many years ago, on the football field of America's H University, when he accidentally kicked the football into Ling Han's face. His apologetic attitude was simple and sincere. It was just a few words. Sorry, Ling Han. At that time, Ling Han only climbed up from the ground and kicked the ball back to the field. Then, after the game ended, he gave him a hug. You played well. Let's go drink. He really wanted to go back to that year, but he already felt that it was a matter of his previous life. Ling Han looked at him, and his cold gaze gradually relaxed. He then asked, Tell me, is it her? Xiao Mu was stunned for a few seconds before nodding dazedly. It's her. She's back. Ling Han curled his lips, his face full of gentleness. He turned and walked in the direction she disappeared to, leaving behind a sentence with his back to Xiao Mu. Since she's back, then I accept your apology and forgive you. Xiao Mu stood in place. He was 1.8 meters tall, but he swayed in the breeze, almost unable to stand. Sheng Anren hastily went down the stairs and supported him. Are you okay? Xiao Mu shook his head, and there seemed to be tears in his eyes. No one could understand the complicated feelings in his heart. He was thankful that she was still alive. He was thankful that he still had the chance to obtain Ling Han's forgiveness while he was still alive. Do you care about his forgiveness that much? Sheng Anren frowned. I always thought that he was only your boss. Xiao Mu took a deep breath and held her shoulder. His voice was hoarse. Anren, did I tell you before that I was an orphan and didn't have many friends since I was young? Ling Han is my first true friend. Chapter 375. After exiting the sanatorium, Yi Huanyan clutched her chest as she panted heavily by the roadside. While she still had lingering fears, she also guessed that Ling Han probably didn't chase after her, because he wanted to ask Xiao Mu about her. Based on her understanding of Xiao Mu, he definitely would not help her lie. That was awkward. After getting into Ji Xiaoya's car, she took a sip of water from the cup and slumped weakly in the back seat. How did Ling Han know I was here? Ji Xiaoya squeezed her shoulder and said helplessly. When Sheng Anren's manager heard that she wanted to leave the entertainment industry, she revealed everything about her relationship with Xiao Mu. Plus, Sheng Anren previously agreed to be the second female lead, so he probably knows everything by now. You can't hide your identity anymore. You can also refuse to admit it. Gu Xingyan's voice came from the driver's seat. Ji Xiaoya glanced at him and grumpily said, Why are you refusing to admit it? If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have let Sheng Anren know so much. Once this woman got involved, she was bound to ruin things. Now look, not only did she fail to torment Ling Han, but she also had to be tormented by him. Does he have such great ability? Yin Yin is the second miss of my Gu family. Yes. Your Gu family is awesome. The Gu family is the most awesome in the world, alright? What are you showing off for? These two people went back and forth, giving Yi Huanyan a headache. She frowned and waved her hand. Alright, it's fine if I can't hide it. I don't plan on hiding it from him for long. Since he knows it's not a big deal, I'll just admit it. You're letting that scumbag off the hook so easily? That's letting him off too easily. Ji Xiaoya indignantly slapped Yi Huanyan's thigh. You may agree, but I don't. I haven't tormented him enough. I have an idea. Gu Xingyan's voice faintly cut in. What if Yin Yin admits her identity and tells Ling Han that Naoneo is the child of Yin Yin and another man? This is a good idea. Ji Xiaoya clapped and laughed. Didn't this guy always suspect that our Yen Yin cheated on him? Let's give them a taste of their own medicine. I don't think so. Yi Huanyan frowned. Naaneo was 5 years old. I didn't have any contact with other men during that time. Ji Xiaoya's eyes lit up. Su, stop. Yi Huanyan interrupted her before she could finish. He and Xiao Rou are still arguing. You can say that it's mine. Gu Xinyan's meaningful gaze was reflected in the rearview mirror. If he knew that the Gu family didn't agree to you marrying into the family after you were married, and had no choice but to adopt you as an adopted daughter in name, because of your child so as to avoid gossip, what do you think he would think? The car fell into an eerie silence. Ji Xiaoya clapped her hands. I think your brother is suitable to be your scriptwriter. His talent is simply perfect. Suitable. Why do I keep feeling that something is wrong? Yi Huanyan frowned. Faced with an extremely scheming brother, and a best friend who stirred up trouble, why did she feel more and more like she was being led into a ditch? Back at the hotel, Naaneo was forcibly taken away by Gu Xinyan on the grounds that he didn't want to disturb Mommy's writing of the script, leaving Yi Huanyan alone in the room. It didn't take long for the doorbell to ring, which was within her expectations. She opened the door, and it was also within her expectations. Why are you here? She lowered her head, feeling very guilty. Ling Han entered the room and closed the door behind him. He stared straight at Yi Huanyan's face and said in a deep voice, I'm here to see you. What's there to see about me? Yi Huanyan took a step back, and he took a step forward. You're very good looking, whether it's now or in the past. I don't know what you're talking about. Compared to that very talented script, Yi Huanyan preferred the script that her brother had said to refuse to admit to the law. Yi Huanyan, how much longer do you want to hide it from me? He approached her step by step and forced her into a corner. He was not willing to back down at all. In the end, he used a bullying attitude and blocked her from both sides with his arms. He surrounded her in a closed circle, forcing her to raise her head and look into his eyes. In the past 5 years, why didn't you give me any news about you? Even if it was news that you were still alive? Why did you become the second daughter of the Gu family? What's with your identity? Whose child is Naaneo? He's mine, right? Yi Huanyan, just how many things have you done behind my back? His continuous questioning was like tearing open her wound and sprinkling salt on it again. She gritted her teeth, steeled her heart and looked up. When she did, her eyes were already indifferent and slightly distant. I'm not her, and I don't want to be her. Ling Han's face darkened, and he said coldly, Yi Huanyan, are you done fooling around? Who's fooling around? Wake up. Yi Huanyan looked at him coldly without any fear. Xiao Mu told me everything. Really? You said that I'm Yi Huanyan? She sneered. It's just a way to find a way to get Sheng Amran to act in a movie again. It's not difficult for me to find out about those melodramatic things between you two. What if I insist that you're her? His domineering attitude reminded Yi Huanyan of the many times she had been hurt by him. She clenched her fingers, steeled her heart, and raised her hand high up. A slap resounded in the room. Ling Han did not dodge and took the slap head-on. A red mark instantly appeared on the right side of his face. Under his persistent gaze, Yi Huanyan said with conviction, I don't know who gave you the misconception that I'm your deceased wife who died 5 years ago, but I'll tell you clearly now. My name is Gu Huanyan, and I have nothing to do with her from my looks to my life experience. She took a deep breath at this point, and her voice was choked with sobs. I'm not interested to know what that stupid woman called Yi Huanyan went through at your hands. It's best if you don't involve me in how you want to make it up to her. No one needs to replace a woman with no self-esteem, principles, and brains like her. Do you understand? Do you understand? Even if I'm her, I really don't want to be her. Those days 5 years ago were too hard. I'd rather erase the first half of my life and let those experiences become a blank slate. Or even casually create someone else's manager and put it on my body. Then let myself become Yi Huanyan again. Do you understand? After saying this, she looked at him in silence for a long time. She could not control the violent rise and fall of her chest, and the pain and anger that she had suppressed for 5 years. Previously, he said that he saw hatred in her eyes. Yes, perhaps she had never seriously faced her own inner feelings. Yes, she hated him. Her love was too strong. And when she could not get the response she wanted, it was inevitable that she would hate him. Even if she had traveled thousands of miles to come here and sincerely wanted to continue their relationship, before the hatred disappeared, she could not make herself accept him wholeheartedly. She had been hurt all over, and the remaining sincerity was already shattered. She could only test it again and again, and again and again, but there was no end in sight. Ling Han looked at her with certainty. After a long time, his thin lips moved slightly, and he spat out 3 words that could not be denied. "You're her. I'm sure that you're her." Chapter 376. I'm not. Yi Huanyan used all her strength to push him away. She looked at him coldly, her face pale. She was willing to start anew with a new identity, and no one could stop her. Anyone who forced her to find her past memories had bad intentions in her eyes. Since you're back, it means that you're willing to give me another chance. Then why don't you come back with your original identity? Do you know how I've been all these years? Are you done? Yi Huanyan looked indifferent. Perhaps the painful memories of the past were too deep. So she always tried her best to forget the crimes and scars that he had forced on her. But he just had to bring it up. There was no need to remember those days full of sadness and disappointment. She hated those memories, and hated her cowardly self at that time. Ling Han stood in the corner, his eyes full of pain. Yen, let's start anew, okay? Start anew. She really wanted to start anew. She thought that when the truth was exposed, she would just admit it. But when he really stood in front of her, peeling off her disguise layer by layer, laying out the bloody past in front of her, she realized that starting anew was actually such a difficult thing. Get out. Yi Huanyan walked quickly to the door with a cold face. She opened the door, looking like she was chasing him out. At first, she thought that it was very ungentlemanly to refuse to admit her identity after being exposed. But now she felt that admitting her identity was the most embarrassing thing. Did she have to admit in front of him that even though she was covered in wounds, she still survived and crawled back, and even changed her identity to get close to him again? This childish love game was really annoying. The whole world revolved around him, and she had had enough of those days. After her rebirth, she lived for herself, so she didn't come back to find him. The coldness in her eyes was something that Ling Han had never seen before. Such a gaze almost made him believe for a moment that she was indeed another person. But when he thought about how her changes might all be due to him, and that he was the one who destroyed and reborn her, he only felt his heart shatter. Okay, I'll go. Ling Han gritted his teeth and stared in Yi Huanyan's direction. But you have to promise me that you won't suddenly disappear again. Yi Huanyan lowered her head and avoided his gaze, but her voice was much softer. I came back to shoot a movie. Since the movie isn't finished, I naturally won't leave. Ling Han walked out of the room, and without waiting for him to say anything, there was a click behind him, and the door was instantly locked. The inside and outside of the room fell into silence. The only difference was that behind the gloomy silence outside the house, there was also a person's inner ecstasy. To him, this was a miracle that the heavens had blessed him after 5 long years of loneliness, allowing him to usher in the miracle of life. Inside the room, Yi Huanyan looked at the closed door and stood alone for a long time. She waited until the footsteps outside the door were far away, before she retracted her hand from the door handle. She slowly turned around and walked towards the bedroom. The next day, Sheng Anren entered the set. The first scene was with Guan Nai. In this scene, Sheng Anren needed to slap Guan Nai. After a few scenes, Yi Huanyan was not very satisfied. As A-list actors, Sheng Anren and Guan Nai didn't cooperate very well. This slap was very not in place, and the traces of a fake slap were too obvious. After calling for a stop, Guan Nai glanced at Sheng Anren, took the water handed over by the assistant, and walked towards Yi Huanyan. She sat down directly beside her and watched the playback in the camera. It's still too obvious, right? This scene is okay. Yi Huanyan frowned and looked serious. But if you look carefully, there's still a time difference between Sheng Anren's strength and the expression on your face. An insider can see that it's exposed. Guan Nai's tone was indifferent. Why don't we hit her for real? It's just a slap. Yi Huanyan was slightly stunned. For real? Yes, for real. You have no objections, right? Guan Nai glanced at Sheng Anren behind the camera. Her tone was very relaxed and even a little teasing, as if she wasn't the one who was going to be hit later. Sheng Anren was drinking water. She was stunned for a few seconds and frowned. Me? Of course I have no objections, but I can't guarantee that one scene will pass. These words were meaningful. Everyone could hear the glint of swords between the words. That's simple. Guan Nai lazily rested a hand on Yi Huanyan's arm. I'll add one more condition. I feel that the dramatic tension in this script isn't obvious enough. How about after you hit me, I'll slap you back? That way, there will be more conflict. When Guan Nai said, how about I slap you again? Her tone was as calm as if she was drinking water, as if it was nothing out of the ordinary. Only Sheng Anren's face paled slightly. That's not so good, right? Yi Huanyan resentfully looked at the two big-name actresses in front of her. One was someone she couldn't afford to offend, while the other was someone she promised Xiaomu not to make things difficult for. What should she do? Better not hit her for real. If her face swells up, it won't be easy to film later. Yi Huanyan insisted on a fake slap, while Guan Nai suggested a real slap. Sheng Anren agreed to a real slap, but she refused to add another scene to avoid being at a disadvantage. The entire crew watched helplessly as the smoke of gunpowder filled the air between the two actresses. They rolled their eyes and scolded them indirectly. It could be said that this was the biggest scene of the year. Director Wang had been keeping an eye on the props all morning, so he arrived late. He didn't notice the subtle atmosphere when he first arrived, but when he saw the few clips filmed in the morning, he immediately showed a displeased expression. What the hell are you filming? It's so obvious that you're giving yourself away. In this clip, your face dodges before the slap even hits your face. The audience isn't blind. In this clip, it's just a slap, and you fall to the ground and can't get up. Isn't it too cowardly? It's time for the female lead to come back. Where's her aura? Everyone listened to Director Wang's lecture. Even Yi Huanyan didn't dare to breathe loudly. They silently brought over Director Wang's teacup and handed it to him. Please have some tea. Guan Nai listened for a while and said faintly, yes, I also think it's not appropriate to do this, so I just proposed a real slap. What do you think, Director Wang? Director Wang came to appreciate Guan Nai, so he was even more appreciative when he heard this. You're willing to make this kind of sacrifice, so of course I agree. Moreover, you're the one getting hit. So what's there to agree or disagree about? Is there anyone else who has a problem with this? These words made some people feel uncomfortable. Sheng Anren was not a person who would be bullied for no reason, so she immediately stood up. Director Wang, I don't disagree, but Guan Nai means that she still wants to add another scene. I just don't agree with her casually changing the script. Add another scene? Director Wang paused in his action of drinking tea, covered the teacup and asked, what scene? Let's hear it. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.